Welcome to Table Read Tuesday's reading of The Sixth Sense. And tonight, I'll be your ghostly host for this amazing cast. So first, Erin, introduce yourself, tell them where they can find you, and all that jazz.
Great. I am Erin Lillis. Tonight I am playing Malcolm. I am on Twitter for the time being at Ravie13. That's RAVIE13. And I am also on TikTok as, what am I on TikTok? Scarin Lillis, and on Hive as Erin's a character.
Very nice, very nice. And Ari.
Hi, I'm Ari. I'm a new voice actor. You can find me on Facebook as Ari Williamson, and Instagram as Williamson Aaron. Yeah, that's all I can really say right now.
That's perfect. Petra Stedman.
Hello, Petra Stedman, writer, actress, occasional trivia hound, and
tonight Action Girl.
And tonight Action Girl, yes. Usually findable on Twitter, as long as that's a thing, at Petra Stedman. And sadly, my Instagram debut has been pushed back. Darn it. It's fine. I'll eventually have something on there, but at the moment I'm findable. There's just nothing to find there, so sorry.
You're kind of like a ghost, like people can't really see you unless they see dead people.
Seems appropriate for what we're doing right now.
Mm.
All right. Next we have Angel Peterson.
Oh, that's me. I'm Angel Peterson, and I am going to be Lynn, Mrs. Saunders, a woman, and a foil.
Very nice.
A foil? Chicken?
Foil world.
Okay, got it.
Very good.
And we have Heather Lee Cameron.
Hi, my name is Heather Lee Cameron. I live in Lethbridge, Alberta. I am an actor. I am a writer. I'm a creator. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a storyteller, and I am a family history research student. Tonight, I'm going to be playing Anna. Yeah, what?
You are everything.
Yes. And I actually did some auditions recently, so and I did some work for somebody recently, unpaid, but still work. Anyway, tonight, I'm going to be playing Anna, Tommy, Mr. Marshall, Darren's mom, boy, young woman, shackled man, visitor number 4, Mrs. Collins, and female teacher. And no, I've not seen this movie, but I'm excited to play tonight because I desperately need a distraction.
Aw.
We're happy to have you here. And
I'm happy to be here and hang out with y'all and perform.
Yes. And returning, we have Daphne.
Hi, I'm Daphne Earhart, and tonight I'm playing various characters, I think about 5 of them, and I'll let you experience them rather than list them at the moment. I am a psychologist, a guided meditation facilitator, soul spa facilitator, voiceover, actor, model, a lot of different things. And traveler is my favorite at the moment, world traveler.
And no, we did not borrow her from the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo.
We take off her mask. It's Mr. whatever his name is. What's his name?
If you haven't seen the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, I don't know what's wrong with you.
I haven't seen that one. There's very much wrong with me.
I have not seen the 13 Ghosts, but
it's a good little mini series.
Really?
I just had to make the joke.
Right. Well, let's see about this script and what we're reading tonight. See if it compares to the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. It
actually has ghosts, so maybe.
So, Petra, we'll let you take us away on this wild, spooky ride.
One really quick question. Did you get this from Maplex? Is that what it says, for educational purposes only? Because all of mine say that.
I don't remember where we got it.
Yeah, it was about a year ago. I don't remember where we found it from either. But
Okay.
This whole entire Table Read Tuesday is for educational purposes.
It is.
And
That is very
performance,
true.
entertainment, all of it
It's
together.
appropriate.
Yeah.
The Sixth
And we
Sense
get the
by
scripts
Emily.
from all over.
Yes. Okay. All right. The Sixth Sense by M. Night Shyamalan for educational purposes only. Interior basement evening. A naked light bulb sparks to life. It dangles from the ceiling in a basement. Light, quick footsteps as Anna Crow moves down the stairs. Anna is the rare combination of beauty and innocence. She stands in the chilly basement in an elegant summer dress that outlines her slender body. Her gentle eyes move across the empty room and come to rest on a rack of wine bottles covering one entire wall. She walks to the bottles. Her fingertips slide over the labels. She stops when she finds just the right one. A tiny smile as she slides it out. Anna turns to leave, stops. She stares at the shadowy basement. It's an unsettling place. She stands very still and watches her breath form a tiny cloud in the cold air. She's visibly uncomfortable. Anna Crow moves for the staircase in a hurry, each step faster than the next. She climbs out of the basement in another burst of light, quick footsteps. We hear her hit the light switch. The light bulb dies. Dripping black devours the room. Cut to interior, the dining room evening. Two place settings are arranged on the living room coffee table. Takeout Chinese food sits half-eaten on good china. An empty bottle of red wine sits between boxes of Chinese food. Anna arrives with a backup bottle and is now wearing a sweater. She hands a collegiate rowing team sweatshirt to Malcolm.
It's getting cold.
Malcolm Crowe sits on the floor at the coffee table, his vest and tie on the sofa behind him. A jacket and an overcoat lay on a briefcase next to him. Malcolm is in his 30s with thick, wavy hair and striking, intelligent eyes that squint from years of intense study. His charming, easygoing smile spreads across his face. He points.
That's one fine frame. Fine frame it is.
Malcolm points to the huge framed certificate propped up on a dining room chair. It's printed on aged parchment type paper. The frame is a polished mahogany. He slips on the sweatshirt.
How much does a fine frame like that cost, you think?
Anna hands the backup bottle over to Malcolm.
I've never told you, but you sound a little like Dr. Seuss when you're drunk.
Malcolm uncorks the wine and starts pouring in the empty glass.
Anna, I'm serious. Serious I am, Anna.
Anna giggles. She clearly buzzed herself. Malcolm doesn't get it. Anna takes a few calming sips of her wine. Her attention slowly moves to the framed certificate.
Mahogany. I'd say that costs at least a couple hundred. Maybe 3.
3? We should hock it. Buy a CD rack for the bedroom.
Do you know how important this is? This is big time. I'm going to read it for you, Doctor.
Do I really sound like Dr. Seuss?
Anna ignores Malcolm and clears her throat. She leans forward in her seat and reads the certificate out loud as Malcolm tries to tickle her.
In recognition for his outstanding achievement in the field of child psychology, his dedication to his work, and his continuing efforts to improve the quality of life for countless children and their families, the city of Philadelphia proudly bestows upon its son, Dr. Malcolm Crowe, that's you, the mayor's citation for professional excellence.
Beat. The power of the word sobers the two of them.
Wow. They called you their son.
We can keep it in the bathroom.
Anna turns to Malcolm. He smiles.
It's not real, Anna. Some secretary wrote that up. Don't tell me you thought it was real.
Anna's expression becomes serious.
What?
She just keeps staring. Beat.
Don't do the quiet thing. You know I hate it.
Beat.
This is important. This is an important night for us. Finally, someone is recognizing the sacrifices you made, that you have put everything second, including me, for those families they're talking about.
Malcolm plays softly with her face. Anna takes his hands and holds them steady.
They're also saying that my husband has a gift, not an ordinary gift that allows him to hit a ball over a fence, or a gift that lets him produce beautiful images on a canvas. Your gift teaches children how to be strong in situations where most adults piss on themselves. Yes, I believe what they wrote about you.
Anna lets go of his hands. Anna's eyes are emotional. Malcolm smiles softly.
Thank you.
Anna leads towards him. They hold each other tight. Beat.
What are we hugging about again?
Anna laughs as she wipes her eyes.
Nothing. There wasn't supposed to be any crying at this celebration. Just a lot of drinking and sex.
Malcolm's charming, easygoing smile returns.
I would like some red wine in a glass.
Anna hands him his glass. He stares at it.
I would not like it in a mug. I would not like it in a jug.
Malcolm looks at Anna, surprised at what he said. They crack up laughing. Their sweet laughter fills the house. Cut to interior bedroom night. Two giggling shadows appear in the bedroom doorway. They try to turn on the light. It doesn't come on.
Bulbs out.
Anna giggles some more as Malcolm's shadow stumbles across the bedroom. Malcolm turns on the bathroom light. A shaft of light falls on Anna as she stands in the corner of the room. She smiles playfully and pulls off her sweater. She sways to a pretend striptease song. Malcolm can't hold back his grin. He joins in, slowly peeling off the sweatshirt. He looks back to Anna. She stopped her playful dance. She's facing away from him. He walks towards her. His grin quietly disappears. Malcolm's face turns to rock as his attention is drawn to the shattered window in the bedroom. The wind moves through the room. A lamp lays broken on the ground by the window. Malcolm kneels down, beat. Anna's eyes fill with a quiet awareness.
He's still in the house.
A shadow from the bathroom flats over both of them. Anna screams. Malcolm spins around. His heart stops. Malcolm and Anna stare at the bathroom doorway. They know someone is inside. Beat. Malcolm slowly starts towards the door. The first thing that comes into view are the clothes on the bathroom floor. Then the figure of a man comes into view. A stranger stands bare-chested in the back of the bathroom. No one makes a sound. The stranger is about 19, drugged out, pitch black eyes bulging. His body is covered in scars and bruises. His hands are folded in front of him. He shakes ever so slightly. He has a patch of white in his hair. Malcolm speaks in a very calm voice, never takes his eyes off the stranger.
Anna, don't move. Don't say a word.
Anna barely nods her understanding.
This is 47 Locust Street. You have broken a window and entered a private residence. Do you understand what I'm saying?
The stranger slowly looks up for the first time. His eyes lock on Malcolm.
You don't know so many things.
Beat.
There are no needles or prescription drugs of any kind in this house.
The stranger suddenly comes forward into the doorway. Malcolm stumbles back onto the edge of the bed. Anna sees the stranger for the first time. Her face drains of color. The stranger looks at Malcolm. He half grins.
Are you drunk?
The stranger's stare slides to Anna.
Did you get him drunk?
The stranger gazes at Anna, gazes directly into her eyes, a penetrating, unwavering stare.
Do you know why you're scared when you're alone?
Anna's expression instantly changes.
I know.
Beat. The room goes silent.
What do you want? I don't understand what you want.
What you promised.
Malcolm stops all movement.
My God.
Do I know you?
Let's all celebrate Dr. Malcolm Crowe, recipient of the awards from the mayor on the news. Dr. Malcolm Crowe, he's helped so many children, and he doesn't even remember my name.
Malcolm can't speak. The stranger's face starts to tremble.
I was 10 when you worked with me.
Malcolm's intelligent eyes race for answers.
Downtown clinic, single-parent family. I had a possible mood disorder. I had no friends. You said I was socially isolated. I was afraid. You called it acute anxiety. You were wrong. Come on, clear your head. Male, 9, single-parent, mood disorder, acute anxiety.
Malcolm looks like someone hit him with a sledgehammer.
I'm 19. I have drugs in my system 24 hours a day. I still have no friends. I still have no peace. I'm still afraid.
Tears jump into the stranger's eyes.
I'm still afraid.
Malcolm stands.
Please give me a second to think.
Malcolm's shaking hands touch his mouth as he stares at the stranger.
Fed Freakin?
Some people call me freak.
Ronald Sumner?
Tears fall down the stranger's face.
I am a freak.
Malcolm looks up at the sound of those words. Something clicks in his head.
Vincent.
The room goes silent again.
Vincent Gray?
Vincent Gray stares with surprise through his tears. Malcolm lets out a deep breath like he just emerged from deep water.
I do remember you, Vincent. You were a good kid, very smart, quiet, compassionate, unusually compassionate.
Vincent's eyes burn at Malcolm.
You forgot Cursed.
Vincent is fully crying now.
You failed me.
Vincent, I'm sorry I didn't help you. I can try to help you now.
Vincent turns to the sink. His hand goes in. He turns around and raises a gun at Malcolm. He fires. A violent, ear-shattering echo. Malcolm clutches his stomach and folds like a rag doll onto the bed. Vincent instantly moves the gun to his own head. Another horrific blast spikes the air. Vincent crumbles onto the bathroom floor. Anna's chilling screams fill their homes. Dissolve to exterior bench afternoon. The legend, 2 years later, appears. A man flips open a worn file folder on his lap. Handwritten notes fill every line. At the top of the first page reads Vincent Gray, age 10, referred January 19, 1989. The man's hand touches the name almost reverently. He glances through the page. Words and phrases are circled throughout the file. Acute anxiety, socially isolated, possible mood disorder, parent status divorced, communication difficulty between mother and child dyad. The man's hand flips the page. At the top of the new page reads Cole Sear, age 8, referred September 1998. As the man's fingers move through the notes, we again see words and phrases circled throughout this new case history. Acute anxiety, socially isolated, possible mood disorder, parent status divorced, communication difficulty between mother and child dyad. The hands close the notepad. The hands are slightly shaking now. We pull back to reveal the shaking hands belong to Dr. Malcolm Crowe. Malcolm sits on a sidewalk bench facing a row of brownstone homes across the street. He gazes blankly at the brownstones. A door opens. Malcolm is brought out of his trance. Cole Sear steps out his front door. Cole is a munchkin of a boy with large black eyes that seem to take in everything around him. His hair is dark, with a small patch of jet white on the side. Cole carefully locks the door behind him. He moves to the bottom of the stairs and looks around nervously, anxiously. The 8-year-old child reaches into his pocket and slips on a pair of very large glasses. They look comical on him. Malcolm rises to his feet. He smooths out his shirt, looks down, and buttons his jacket. When he looks up, Cole is gone. Malcolm barely catches a glimpse of the boy. Cole runs at full speed down the street and turns the corner, tiny sneakers screeching on the sidewalk. For a second, Malcolm doesn't react. The second passes. He stuffs the file in his bag and starts running too. Cut to exterior street day. Malcolm hauls down the sidewalk. He comes to a hard stop at the street intersection, searches, spots Cole running into a parking lot. Cole sprints across the empty lot and reaches the doors of a building. He has to use all his strength to push open the highly ornate door. He slips inside. Malcolm jogs into the parking area. His pace slows to a walk and then to stillness as he gazes up at the building. Its old stone and huge towers make it stand out from the modern buildings around it. Malcolm stares up at the historic Philadelphia church quietly. A shooting pain pierces his side. Malcolm's hand goes to it quickly. He waits for it to pass before starting for the ornate doors. Cut to interior church day. Jacob, did you freeze? I think he froze. Hold on.
Please hold.
I don't know.
Spirits have interfered with this production.
I know. I'm trying to find my copy.
Okay, I'm getting mine too. So whoever gets
Thank
it
you.
first.
Okay. Trying to figure out if that's my computer making noise or not.
Oh, that's mine. Jacob's messaging me.
Oh, okay. I don't have my script. Okay.
There should be an attachment in the casting email.
No. I know. I thought I already downloaded it, so that's why
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Oh, there we go. Okay, hold on. I got it.
Hey, Angel to the rescue!
Yeah. We'll see.
Perfect.
Host
name.
disabled participant screen sharing, and host is not here.
Oh
So
shoot, he didn't transfer it to you.
no.
Oh, that's not good. Okay,
Darn
hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on.
And I
I have it.
and
Oh, if
hold
you've
it up
got it.
like this.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, my head just freaking filled the
Just
screen.
read all of it.
Let's move that back a little bit. Why do I feel so massive in this picture? Oh. The downside of a couch stream.
Oh,
Okay.
Daphne, it has you as the host.
Oh,
That is so weird. Okay, what do I
Well-
need to do about that?
it just
Bring a copy
automatically
of the script
assigns
if you don't
somebody
mind.
if he doesn't assign it.
okay.
So
What
if
did he
you're
say? So if someone has to come in, I'll let him in, but no, I don't see anything here. It just says
Yeah, have you downloaded the script yet? You don't have to normally, but if
I
you
think
did,
I did.
oh, then can you go to share screen and oh, there, he's back.
Okay.
Yay.
Yay.
Sorry, Jacob. I wasn't.
Told while there was all the technical difficulties. Thank you
Yes.
very much.
But if you could put me on as co-host,
Welcome
if
back.
that happens again, I can take
Just
care
in
of it.
case.
Am I okay? Let me see. I don't know if I'm able.
Internet hiccup. Apologies.
Yeah, that's
Here.
all right. Did you hear anything we just said or no?
Yep, I'll make you co-host.
Great, thank you.
Great.
And then I'll be able to share it if that happens again. And no worries, Daphne. It automatically assigns somebody as a co-host, but it's a random thing.
Oh,
So-
okay. I just got lucky.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if it does assign you as a host, then you can, at that point, assign somebody else as host or co-host.
Oh, okay.
cool.
I'll do that next time. Thanks. Anyway, little break, intermission.
A mini intermission. All right, and we'll edit that out if we ever get through editing these.
Yeah.
Are we ready to
Sorry.
continue?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
we'll continue. Please pick up where you feel you left off, Petra. If you
We were at the top of 11, cut to interior church day.
Oh.
Thank you. Only a few people sit and pray in the sea of oak pews. Malcolm scans the majestic room and finds what he's looking for in the last row of the church. He moves down the center aisle toward the back. Malcolm finds Cole playing in his pew with a set of green and beige plastic soldiers. Cole makes the soldiers talk to each other. Pro, fun, sorry.
Pro, fun, ad.
The words are unintelligible. Cole senses someone. He looks up and sees Malcolm staring at him. The boy immediately goes white. Every cell of his body is still with fear.
It's okay, Cole. Don't be frightened.
Cole stays rigid, hands clutching a handful of plastic riflemen.
My name is Dr. Malcolm Crowe. I was supposed to meet you today. Sorry I missed our appointment.
Malcolm waits for a response. None comes.
Do you mind if I sit down? I have this injury from a couple of years ago and it flares up every once in a while just so I won't forget it.
My script's not moving again. I'm sorry. I'm download my own copy. Okay. Oh, thank you. Cole slowly slides down the pew, giving Malcolm most of the seat. Malcolm sits. Cole fidgets with his soldiers. Malcolm looks over and stares at Cole's glasses. He leans forward to inspect them more carefully.
Your eye frames. They don't seem to have any lenses in them.
They're my dad's. The lenses hurt my eyes.
I knew there was a sound explanation.
Malcolm returns to staring at his lap. Beat.
What was that you were saying before with your soldiers? Day pro fun?
De profundis clamo ad de domine.
Malcolm stares surprised.
It's called Latin. It's a language.
Malcolm nods at the information.
All your soldiers speak Latin?
No, just one.
Malcolm smiles at Cole. His eyes drift down to Cole's arms. Malcolm's smile slowly disappears. Cole's arms are covered in tiny cuts and bruises, some almost healed, some fresh. Malcolm looks around to gather himself.
I like churches too. In olden times, in Europe, people used to hide in churches, claim sanctuary.
Cole looks up.
What were they hiding from?
Oh, lots of things, I suppose. Bad people, for one. People who wanted to imprison them, hurt them.
Nothing bad can happen in a church, right?
Right,
Malcolm studies Cole's anxious face.
right.
Malcolm and Cole stare at each other.
I forgot your name.
Dr. Crow.
You're a doctor. What kind?
I work with young people who might be sad or upset or just want to talk. I try to help them figure things out.
Beat.
Are you a good doctor?
Malcolm
I got
smiles.
I got an award once from the mayor.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a long time ago. I've kind of been retired for a while. You're my first client back.
You use needles?
Nope.
Not even little ones that aren't supposed to hurt?
No.
That's good.
Cole pockets his soldiers and rises from the pew.
I'm going to see you again, right?
If it's okay with you.
Cole thinks it over carefully.
It's okay with me.
Cole and Malcolm just stare at each other.
And Cole, next time I won't be late for you.
Next time I won't be scared of you.
Cole turns and starts to the rear of the church. Malcolm loses himself in his thoughts. When he looks back, he sees Cole stop by the exit doors and take a tiny statue of Jesus off the back table. Cole pockets the statue and quietly leaves the church. Malcolm just sits and stares. Cut to interior Malcolm's home, evening. The house is dimly lit. Malcolm has to turn on the hallway light.
It's me.
He stops before a pile of mail collecting on a thin table. He stares at it blankly. Almost every envelope has overdue or final notice stamped on it. Cut to interior dining room, evening. Malcolm stares down at the remains of a meal on the only place setting on the table. Cut to interior bedroom, evening. Malcolm walks quietly into his bedroom. Only a reading light is on. The soft light falls on Anna as she sleeps. Malcolm moves to her side. The sight of her stops him. He stares at his wife. She's huddled under a blanket, a wad of tissues in her hand. He takes it in silently. His eyes move to her face. One wisp of hair falls over her soft lips. Outlined in the soft reading light, Anna Crow truly looks like an angel. Malcolm forms a tiny smile. Cut to interior hall, night. Malcolm turns and moves to a narrow door in the hallway. The doorknob. He tries to open it. It's locked. Malcolm reaches into his pocket, searches for his keys. Cut to the basement, night. The empty basement is no longer empty. It's piled with file cabinets and boxes of psychology and medical books. A desk sits in the corner next to the wine rack. The room still feels unsettling. Malcolm hunches over one of the books, rifles through a stack of dusty books, pulls out a thick text. The spine of the text reads the Meridian Latin Dictionary. Malcolm sits back at his desk and opens Cole's file. Handwritten on the first page are the words, De profundis calma aute domine. Malcolm starts working through the Latin text. As he comes to each word, he jots it down underneath the Latin. Malcolm translates the last word. He stares quietly at the paper. The new words read, Out of the depths I cry to you, Lord.
The Mass for the Dead.
The words seem to hang in the air forever. Cut to exterior Philadelphia dawn. Old Philadelphia awakens. For a moment, it's like we're back in time. A golden sun dances on the waters of Penn's Landing. Historical old ships sit docked in the harbor. The dark bronze surface of Liberty Bell reflects the dawn. A majestic Independence Hall stands watch as the city begins to stir. A 30-foot statue of Ben Franklin makes a proud silhouette against the morning sky. Then 1997 comes crashing in. Fluorescent house lights come on in windows. Jeeps and hatchbacks start roaming the cobblestone streets. Neon restaurant signs flicker to life. Traffic helicopters make their rounds. Car alarms pierce the air. Cut to interior laundry room, morning. A hand turns off a radio, shutting off the morning news. A small dog with two different color eyes sticks his head out of the dryer where he plays with the newly dried clothes. Lynn Sear reaches in and pulls out a blouse. She shakes it in the air and slips it on as she dresses hurriedly for work. Lynn is a woman in her late 20s, 100% South Philly. Hair teased, she chews on an early morning piece of Trident. Underneath it all, Lynn Sear is an attractive and sweet-looking young woman. Lynn enters the kitchen through a swinging door. A bowl of cereal and milk sit on a table in an empty kitchen. Lynn stares at a handful of kitchen cabinets and drawers that are open. Lynn shakes her head.
Cole?
She closes them one at a time before moving to the coffee machine. Lynn shivers a little. She leans over the thermostat and raises the heat. She moves to her post at the coffee machine. Tiny footsteps. Lynn turns to see Cole standing in his private school uniform.
Your Cocoa Puffs are getting soggy.
Lynn walks over to Cole.
You got a
Checks
spot?
his tie. Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's me. You got a spot?
Lynn unclips the tie. Cole takes a seat at the kitchen table as Lynn walks back into the laundry room. The dog is gone now. Lynn reaches into the dryer, digging for a new tie. She finds one, then turns and steps back into the kitchen and screams at the top of her lungs. Every cabinet and every drawer is wide open. Cole sits at the kitchen table. His hands are pressed flat on the tabletop. He looks shaken. Neither says anything for a beat.
Something you were looking for, baby?
Beat.
Pop-Tarts.
Lynn looks over at the open cabinet near the sink. The Pop-Tarts are clearly visible.
They're right here.
Oh,
Cole gets up from the table, takes his Pop-Tarts, doesn't make eye contact.
what are you thinking, Mama?
Lots of things.
Anything bad about me?
Lynn leans down.
Look at my face.
Cole does.
I wasn't thinking anything bad about you. Got it?
He looks at her eyes.
You got it.
The doorbell rings.
That's Tommy, Mama.
Cole quietly kisses his mother on the cheek and starts out.
Don't you want this?
Cole turns to see Lynn holding the Pop-Tarts. He walks back and takes them from her before leaving. Lynn glances to the kitchen table. Her gaze stops on the 2 tiny handprints of sweat formed on the table surface. Lynn stands motionless in the kitchen. She looks up and wraps her arms around her shivering shoulders. Cut to exterior Brownstone Street, morning. Tommy Tomasino is a tough-looking 8-year-old Italian kid who waits at the bottom of Cole's brownstone stairs in his school uniform. Cole emerges from the brownstone and moves down the steps. Lynn's face appears in the kitchen window. The 2 boys begin their walk down the street to school. Tommy puts an arm around Cole. Lynn waves. Cole waves back. When the 2 boys turn the corner and are out of Lynn's sight, Tommy rips his arm away.
Hey, freak, how'd you like the arm around your shoulder bit? I just made it up, went with it. That's what great actors do. It's called improv.
Tommy starts to run ahead. He turns and backpedals.
Be careful. I hope no one jumps out and gets ya.
Tommy runs away. Cole looks around nervously. Cut to exterior St. Anthony's Academy, morning. The last uniformed boys and girls rush into the front doors of St. Anthony's Academy as the final bell sounds. Cole is the last one to go in. He stands alone on the sidewalk. He looks like he'd rather be anywhere but there. He buries his hands in his pockets and begins a quiet walk by himself into the school. Dissolve 2. Interior, Cole's home, afternoon. The front door creaks open as Cole walks in after school. He looks around before closing the door. His eyes stop on Lynn seated in the open doorway of the den. Malcolm is seated with her. They both look up. Lynn comes out. She reaches Cole, kneels down in front of him.
How was school, baby?
Cole shrugs.
You know, you can tell me things if you need to.
Cole doesn't respond.
Well, you know what I did today?
Cole shakes his head no.
I won the Pennsylvania lottery in the morning. I quit my jobs, ate a big picnic at the park with lots of chocolate mousse pie, and then swam in the fountain all afternoon. What did you do?
Cole starts to smile too. He thinks.
I was picked first for kickball teams at recess. I hit a grand slam to win the game, and everyone lifted me up on their shoulders, and they carried me around, and with cheering.
Cole and Lynn smile at each other. Lynn tries to hide the utter sadness behind her smile.
I'll make triangle pancakes. You got an hour.
Lynn takes Cole's school bag and jacket before moving to the kitchen. Cut to interior den, afternoon. The den doubles as a playroom. Boxes of old toys sit in the corner. A small plastic multicolored table sits on the rug. Cole appears in the doorway. Malcolm sits up and smiles. He points to the chair on the other side of the coffee table.
You want to sit?
Cole nods very softly, no.
Don't feel like talking right now?
Cole nods again very softly, no.
How about we play a game first?
Cole looks a little more interested.
It's a mind reading game. Did I mention I could read minds?
Cole nods no.
Okay, here's the game. I'll read your mind. If what I say is right, you take a step forwards towards the chair. If I'm wrong, you take a step backwards to the doorway. If you reach the chair, you sit. If you reach the door, you can go. Deal?
Cole tilts his head, then nods, yes. Malcolm presses his fingers to his temples like a vaudeville magician. He closes his eyes tight.
Just after your mom and dad were divorced, your mom went to a doctor like me and it didn't help her. And so you think I'm not going to help you.
Cole, surprised, takes a small step forward.
You're worried because she said she told him things she couldn't tell anybody else. Secrets.
Cole takes a step. Malcolm opens his eyes. He looks right at Cole.
You have a secret, but you don't want to tell me.
Cole takes another step. The next step puts him at the chair. Malcolm lowers his fingers from his temple.
You don't have to tell me your secret if you don't want to.
Malcolm smiles, returns his fingers to the mind reading position. Malcolm looks at Cole's arm. Cole is wearing a large silver watch. It swims on his thin wrist. It could probably slide up to his shoulder. Malcolm closes his eyes.
Your father gave you that watch as a present before he left.
Cole takes a step back. Malcolm lowers his hands, surprised.
He forgot it in a drawer. It doesn't work.
Malcolm puts his fingers to his temple, this time a bit slower. He gazes at Cole's school uniform.
You don't like to say much at school. You're an excellent student, however. You've never been in any kind of serious trouble.
Cole takes a step back.
We were supposed to draw a picture or anything we wanted. I drew a man. He got hurt in the neck by another man with a screwdriver.
An uncomfortable silence overtakes the den.
You saw that on TV, Cole?
Cole answers by taking a small step back.
Everybody got upset. They had a meeting. Mama started crying. I don't draw like that anymore.
How do you draw now?
I draw people with smiles, dogs running, and rainbows. They don't have meetings about rainbows.
I guess I
Malcolm
don't.
looks down at Cole's feet. Oh, sorry.
I guess I don't.
Malcolm looks down at Cole's feet. They're almost at the doorway. One more step and he's there. Cole is very still. He doesn't move at all.
What am I thinking now?
Malcolm takes his time before speaking. He just stares. No fingers to the temple, no games. He just stares.
You're thinking... I don't know what you're thinking, Cole.
Cole quietly takes a step back into the doorway of the other room.
I was thinking you're nice, but you can't help me.
Cole's tiny figure steps away. Malcolm stares helplessly at the empty doorway where his client used to stand. The den is suffocated with silence. Cut to interior restaurant evening. Malcolm hurriedly enters a spacious, dimly lit Italian restaurant. He stops in the dining room and searches the many candlelit tables. He finds Anna. Anna sits alone at a corner table. The remains of her half-eaten dinner lay on the only place setting on the table. A small piece of cake with a candle in it sits untouched. Anna stirs sugar in her coffee as Malcolm sits in the seat across from her. She gently stops stirring but doesn't look up.
I thought you meant the other Italian restaurant I asked you to marry me in.
Anna isn't laughing, not even close.
I'm so sorry. I can't seem to keep track of time.
Anna quietly takes a sip from her coffee.
It didn't go well today. Spent some time after trying to get my head together.
Anna looks around for the waiter.
They're so similar, Anna. They have the same mannerisms, the same expressions, the same thing hanging over them. Might be some kind of abuse.
That makes Anna turn back. She glances across the table, then looks down.
There are cuts on Cole's arms. Fingernail marks, I think. Looks like defensive cuts.
Malcolm demonstrates by holding up his arm to shield his face.
Possibly a teacher, neighbor. I don't think it's the mother. Just a gut thing. The way she deals with him, it doesn't fit. Hard to say this early. Could just be a child climbing a lot of trees.
Malcolm loses himself in his thoughts. The waiter drops off the check on the table. Anna grabs it before Malcolm and quickly signs it.
I know I've been kind of out of it for a long while, and you resent it. You do. I know you're mad. I know it's put some distance between us.
Yeah.
But I'm getting a second chance here, and I can't let it slip away.
Anna waits till he's done, then rises from the table. She pushes her chair in hard and walks away without a word. Malcolm sits alone and stares at the piece of cake with a candle on it.
Happy anniversary.
Cut to exterior front steps afternoon. Cole is seated on the front stoop of his brownstone. On the steps and on the landing are his plastic soldiers in the grips of a war. Malcolm sits with his bag and overcoat on the step next to him. Malcolm just observes quietly. Cole glances up as he plays, sees Malcolm's expression.
You want to ask me a question?
See, this is why I lose at poker. Yes, I do have a question.
On the step are 2 rows of soldiers facing each other. To one side are a couple of soldiers covered by a tissue. Malcolm points to them.
What happened to those two? Being under tissue paper can't be a good thing.
Cole removes the tissue.
That's Private Jenkins and Private Kitty. They got killed. Private Jenkins has a baby girl that was born 7 pounds 6 ounces. He's never seen her. He wanted to get back to Bluebell, Pennsylvania, and hold her.
Cole points at the other soldier.
Private Kitty's wife is really sick. She has something called a brain aneurysm.
You mean aneurysm?
Yeah, Private Kitty needed to get back safe to take care of her.
Cole's face becomes emotional. Tears fill his eyes.
It's sad they died, isn't it?
Malcolm falls into silence and stares at his client. Cole wipes his eyes quickly.
Don't look at me. I don't like people looking at me like that.
Malcolm takes in Cole's gesture and expressions.
Stop looking at me.
Malcolm looks down.
Where should I look then, Cole?
Look over there.
Cole points to the corner of the street. Malcolm slowly turns. He sits in profile to Cole.
It's very unusual for someone your age to understand the kind of problems that Private Jenkins and Private Kinney have, or even be thinking about them at all.
Malcolm continues to stare at the street.
It is okay if I look back now?
Cole doesn't answer.
Tap the foot once for no and twice for yes?
Cole taps his foot once. Malcolm sits patiently. They don't say anything for a while.
You wouldn't want to take a walk, would you?
Cole looks up from his soldiers. Malcolm stares at the far side of the street. Cole taps his foot twice. Cut to exterior street afternoon. The 2 of them walk down a row of brownstones across from a park where children Cole's age are playing.
I walked this way to school with Tommy Simo.
He your best buddy?
Cole almost smiles.
He hates me.
You hate him?
Cole shakes his head no. Malcolm thinks for a bit.
Your mom set that up?
Cole nods yes.
You ever tell her about how it is with Tommy?
I don't tell her a thing.
Why?
Because she doesn't look at me like everybody, and I don't want her to. I don't want her to know.
Know what?
That I'm a freak.
Cole stops walking. The words hit him hard. He stares at Cole.
Listen to me. You are not a freak. Don't you believe anybody that tells you that. It's bullshit, and you don't have to grow up believing that.
Beat. Cole's surprised.
You said the S word.
Yeah, sorry.
Malcolm's face is filled with emotion. Cole is suddenly hit by Malcolm's passion. Cole nods slowly as he looks at Malcolm with different eyes. They start walking again in silence. They turn a corner and move down another street. Cole spots an old man with a cane standing at the gate of a brownstone.
Is it okay if I do something? I have to do something.
Malcolm nods yes as they continue walking. Cole slows as they approach the old man. As we get closer, we make out that the man can barely see.
Hi, Mr. Marshall.
Mr. Marshall leans over his gate and stares at Cole for a few seconds.
Guten Tag, Cole.
Mr. Marshall has a thick German accent. The old man squints down the block with a concerned expression.
What's wrong?
Mrs. Marshall, she went food shopping. She's running late.
Ich habe Durst.
Malcolm's eyes dart to Cole.
Wunderbar. Where did you learn to speak German?
I just know a couple of lines.
Yes, you may have a drink. What would you like?
Lemonade, please.
Mr. Marshall smiles at Cole before walking back inside his house. Cole turns back to Malcolm.
Mr. Marshall gets really lonely.
What about Mrs. Marshall?
She died a long time ago.
Cut to Mr. Marshall's living room morning. This brownstone has been home to the Marshalls for many, many years. It is filled with a lifetime of memories, memories shared by two people. Two rocking chairs sit side by side near the windows that overlook the street. A corner table displays fancy wooden chess set. The game half finished, frozen in a layer of dust. An easel stands before a piano. The incomplete watercolor painting of a smiling elderly woman sitting on the piano bench sits sadly on the faded yellow paper. Malcolm takes in the living room silently. He stands near the open door. Cole walks through the room, tiny eyes searching carefully. He leans behind the sofa looking for something. Malcolm watches Cole with a crinkled brow. Cole peeks behind the old piano crammed against the wall.
Maybe Jill will play for us when she gets back.
Cole turns to find Mr. Marshall standing with a glass of lemonade. Cole takes it from his shaking hands.
Thank you.
Mr. Marshall shuffles over to the sofa, takes a seat. Cole begins surveying the room again, beat. His eyes finally come to rest on a plant seated in the corner. He stares at it. The leaves of the plant shake slightly from a breeze. Cole puts down his glass on a table and walks over to the plant. Cole kneels down and starts to push the potted plant aside. The pot screeches on the wooden floor. Malcolm calls to Cole under his breath.
Cole?
What's going on in there?
Mr. Marshall strains to see across the room. Cole doesn't answer either of them. Instead, he continues to push the plant aside to reveal an air vent. Cole gently reaches over and takes off the metal face. It slips right off. Cole's hands disappear into the darkness of the vent. They reemerge holding a stack of notebooks. Malcolm becomes very still. Cole rises to his feet and carries the notebooks over to Mr. Marshall. Cole carefully places them on his lap.
Is this for me?
Mr. Marshall fingers the notebooks, then reaches for his thick glasses hanging on his neck. He places them on the tip of his nose and inspects the notebooks 6 inches from his face.
What's this? Jill's keeping a diary.
Malcolm takes an involuntary step forward. Mr. Marshall starts flipping through the notebooks.
She's full of surprises.
He gets to the last book. His hands become still as he stares at the final page of writing.
Oh, she hasn't written anything for some time.
Mr. Marshall slowly looks up from the notebooks, looks up to Cole. Cole just stands quietly. Mr. Marshall's eyes fill slowly with tears of realization. They gently spill over his weathered face.
Oh, no.
Cole takes a deep breath, trying hard not to cry himself. The sight of Mr. Marshall weeping shakes him. Cole softly lays his hand on Mr. Marshall's silver hair. Mr. Marshall reaches up and clutches his small hand. They stay like that for a while. Mr. Marshall lets go and brings the notebooks tighter to his body. Cole quietly walks to Malcolm, who stands motionless. He stares down at Cole in a daze. Cole turns his head, crying.
Stop looking at me.
Cut to interior basement office night. Malcolm sits still in his office chair. His eyes are fixed to a point in space. He brings a slim black tape recorder to his mouth. Click.
April or March of 87, 2 weeks into sessions with Vincent Gray. Was treating a couple, Donald and Robert Wagner, who had lost their child to leukemia. They were waiting with Vincent in the reception room of the downtown clinic. They were alone together maybe 15 minutes. When I entered the room, all three were crying. The Wagners' progress from that afternoon was dramatic and sudden, as if some door had been opened for them. I'm not at all clear what happened in those 15 minutes, but I now believe Vincent tried to tell me something or show me something, and I didn't listen. Cole Sear allowed me to witness something today. This time, I'm going to listen.
A long silence. Click. The tape recorder turns off. Dissolve to interior brownstone night. Lynn holds a laundry basket on her hip as she fiddles with the thermostat in the hall. The house is cold. Lynn wears a winter jacket in the house. Lynn turns and moves to the shadowy hallway. No lights. The house seems somewhat ominous. Lynn's eyes dart to an open guest room just like she just saw something. She stares in the doorway until a sound turns her in the direction of the family room. She picks up balled up boys' sweat socks and dirty t-shirts laying on the carpet. When she reaches the end of the hall, she hits a light switch. The hall lights up, revealing a wall of photos. Lynn forms a tiny smile. Snapshots of Cole and Lynn's life hang before her eyes. Cole's birthday parties, Lynn and Cole at an amusement park, Cole under the Christmas tree, Cole on Lynn's shoulders in a pool, Cole with a group of neighbors at a barbecue. Lynn takes a step forward. Her face betrays the fact that she notices something she never noticed before. She touches a photo of 3-year-old Cole. We move into the photo. Cole's face smiles at us. Lynn's finger gently brushes a thin streak of light that curves in the background behind Cole. The streak of light is blurred like something caught in motion. Lynn looks to the adjacent photo, the barbecue photo. Everyone stands with hot dogs and sodas. Lynn searches the picture. Her eyes suddenly stop at the tiniest blur of white, light streaking around Cole. We move from frame photo to frame photo, each the same. Somewhere hidden in the frame, somewhere not easily seen, Lynn finds a blur. Lynn takes it all in curiously. Cut to interior Cole's bedroom, afternoon. Lynn moves into Cole's room with the laundry basket balanced on her hip. The Walkman headphones on her head blare a muffled techno dance beat. Lynn starts picking clothes up around Cole's room. The bedroom is an eerie place. The shadows seem to make shapes and figures. All the furniture is wood, old-fashioned. The lamps, the paintings on the wall, antiques as well. The most striking feature of the room, however, is the homemade tent created from bed sheets and blankets tied to chairs and bureaus. It takes up a large corner of the room. A sign hangs over the bed sheets, "Do not enter." Lynn grabs the Spider-Man PJs that drape over the tent. A German Shepherd puppy sleeps on the pillow. Sebastian lifts his head sleepily and peers at Lynn before returning to his slumber. Lynn slowly reaches for a picture frame that peeks out from Cole's pillow, slides it out. It's a vacation photo of a couple, Lynn and Cole and a man. The man looks in every way a larger version of Cole. The picture has a visible effect on Lynn. She lets out a shaky breath before returning the photo to its hiding place. Lynn pulls out a spare pair of school uniform pants off the wooden roll-cover desk next to the bed. The desk is covered with loose leaf papers filled with writing. Lynn's eyes are drawn to the papers. Her curious gaze turns serious. Her mouth opens a tiny bit involuntarily. The papers are strewn with lines of handwriting. Countless lines, thousands of words, some horizontal, some vertical. The writing moves in arcs and flows in various size, written at great speed, every word connected by a single pen stroke, everything written in one continuous motion. Lynn slowly spins the papers, taking in some of the phrases. "Christ, break the freaking glass. Oh no, God, what the hell is going on? Quiet the damn baby. I'll cut you. I swear it. Someone stop the burning. I'll kill you all, you bastard." The words go on and on. Lynn removes her hand from the paper. She pulls her headphones off slowly. The muffled techno dance beat fills the dead silence of the eerie room. Cut to interior den, afternoon. Malcolm stares as the rain pelts the windows of the den.
So your dad lives in Pittsburgh with a lady who works in a toll booth.
What if she has to pee when she's working? You think she just holds it?
I don't know. I was just thinking the same thing.
You ask a lot of questions about my dad today. How come?
Cole is playing behind the couch. All we see is the top of his head.
Sometimes we don't even know it, but we do things to draw attention, do things so we can express how we feel about issues, divorce or whatever.
Every now and then we get glimpses of things Cole is playing with by peeking over the back of the couch, but we can't quite make out what he's doing.
One night, as an example, leave something on a desk for someone to find.
The top of Cole's head stops moving.
Cole, have you ever heard of something called free writing or free association writing?
Cole shakes his head no.
It's when you just put a pencil in your hand and put the pencil to a paper and you just start writing. You don't even think about what you're writing. You don't read over what you're writing. You just keep your hand moving.
Cole has become very still. He looks right at Malcolm.
After a while, if you keep your hand moving long enough, words and thoughts start coming out you didn't even know you had in you. Sometimes they're things you heard from somewhere. Sometimes they're feelings deep inside. Have you ever done any free association writing, Cole?
Cole nods yes.
What'd you write?
Words.
What kind of words?
Upset words.
Did you write any upset words before your father left?
I don't remember.
Malcolm watches him carefully. Malcolm waves the question off casually.
Can you do something for me?
Malcolm smiles. He rises and grabs his coat.
Think about what you want from our time together. What our goal should be.
Something I want?
If we could change something in your life, anything at all, what would you like that to be?
Cole's brow furrows as he thinks about it carefully.
You don't have to answer now.
Malcolm heads for the door, stops when Cole emerges from behind the couch. Cole is wearing his father's jacket. It hangs to the ground like a dress.
Instead of something I want, can I have something I don't want?
Malcolm turns back to Cole. He nods yes.
I don't want to be scared anymore.
Sorry. Cole's sad eyes stare up at Malcolm. Cut to interior basement office night. The surface of Malcolm's desk is covered with open text. Malcolm pores over a thick reference book. He circles a phrase. Resulting bruises and abrasions on arms and legs may in fact be self-inflicted. Malcolm appears disturbed by the thoughts running through his head. Anna's muffled voice carries down the stairs. His face turns up towards the ceiling.
Are you calling me?
We hear Anna's footsteps move across the basement ceiling. We hear the front door open.
What? You don't see me enough at me? What? You don't see enough of me at the store?
Malcolm gets up and moves closer to their voices as he stretches his legs.
I don't know who the man's voice is. On my way to the flea market in Amish country, and I thought maybe you'd want to come, show me how to buy these things.
I trust you. Besides, I don't know if I'm up for the Amish today. You can't curse or spit or anything around them.
Malcolm smiles at Anna.
I thought you'd want to get out. You've been kind of down.
Malcolm
That's
slowly
very
stops smiling.
That's very sweet. I'm okay.
Do you think I should stop by on my way back, show you what I got? It's not a problem.
Malcolm shakes his head in disbelief.
You know, that's probably not the best idea. I'll just wait to see them in the store.
Okay, fine. Understood. I'm off then.
Don't step in the horse manure.
Thanks.
We hear the front door shut. Malcolm moves to the narrow basement window. Interior, exterior, Malcolm's house, day. We see Sean, an attractive young man in his late 20s. He gets into his car across the street. He just sits there for a moment before putting his forehead to the steering wheel.
Give it up, kid.
Malcolm turns away from the window as Sean's car starts up and pulls away from Malcolm's house. Cut to interior classroom day. Stanley Cunningham is a teacher in his late 40s. He writes a question on the board. Jacob.
Am I in the wrong spot?
Yep,
Okay, now this
you're-
time.
there you go.
Can anyone guess what city was the capital of the United States of America from 1790 to 1800?
Mr. Cunningham turns and stares at his class of 8 and 9-year-old private school students. They stare back at him blankly. Cole rests his chin on his desk and watches the class with big eyes.
I'll give you a hint. It's the city you live in.
The class says the answer in unison.
Philadelphia!
Philadelphia!
Philadelphia.
Right. Philadelphia is one of the oldest cities in the country. A lot of generations have lived and died in this city. Almost every place you visit has a history and a story behind it. Even the school and the grounds they sit on. Can anyone guess what this building was used for 100 years ago, before you went here, before I went to this school even?
Stanley Cunningham looks over the class of blank faces. He's just about to answer his own question when he sees a hand go up. Mr. Cunningham looks surprised to see who it is.
Yes, Cole?
They used to hang people here.
Mr. Cunningham furrows his brow.
That's not correct. Where'd you hear that?
They pull the people in crying and kissing their families by. People watching would spit at them.
Cole, this was a legal courthouse. Laws were passed here. Some of these first laws of this country. This building was full of lawyers.
They were
The
the ones-
lawmakers is your line too. Oh, sorry.
Lawmakers.
They were the ones who hanged everybody.
Mr. Cunningham chuckles. Cole's face turns cement gray.
I don't know which one of these guys told you that, but they were just trying to scare you, I think.
Tommy Tomasimo leads the class in a wave of snickering. Cole glances up, sees all the eyes on him. He glances at the teacher, who's still staring.
I don't like people looking at me like that.
Like what?
Stop it.
Mr. Cunningham sees the traumatized expression on Cole's face and instantly stops smiling.
I don't know how else to look.
You're stuttering, Stanley.
Mr. Cunningham's face becomes still, so does the classroom.
Excuse me?
You talked funny when you went to school here. You talked funny all the way to high school.
The class falls into stunned silence. Mr. Cunningham takes an involuntary step towards Cole's desk.
What?
You shouldn't laugh at people. It makes them feel bad.
Mr. Cunningham moves closer to Cole.
How did you?
Stop looking at me.
Cole covers his eyes with his hands.
Who have you been speaking to?
We see Cole's mouth under his covered eyes.
Stuttering Stanley, stuttering Stanley.
Who?
Mr. Cunningham is standing right over Cole's desk now.
Stuttering Stanley.
Stop that.
Stuttering Stanley, stuttering Stanley.
Stop it.
Stuttering.
Shut up, you freak.
Mr. Cunningham slams his hand on Cole's desk. Cole's hands drop from his eyes. The teacher's face is burning red. The children in the room are frozen, completely startled. Cole's eyes are filled with tears. Mr. Cunningham's expression drains of anger as Cole Sear begins to cry. Cut to interior St. Anthony's Library, same afternoon. Cole is seated in the school library by himself. He sits at a long center table near the window. His head is laying on his folded arms on the table. Malcolm peeks his head around in the door, unsure if he's in the right place. He spots Cole and enters the room. He silently takes a seat across from Cole. The 8-year-old looks up. Cole's eyes are hard, filled with anger.
Hey, big guy.
Cole stares for a moment.
I don't want to talk about anything.
Cole lowers his head. Malcolm just sits and thinks. The sound of boys playing sports on the field outside filter in through the library windows. Cole turns his head and stares at the windows. Malcolm takes in the sad vision of this boy. It affects him.
Do you like magic?
Cole's face softens a bit. He turns from the windows and looks at Malcolm. He nods yes. Malcolm pulls a penny from his pocket. He places it in his right hand.
Watch the penny closely.
Malcolm closes his hand around the penny.
I do the magic shake.
Malcolm shakes his hand in circles. Cole watches his hand carefully.
And suddenly the penny has magically traveled to my left hand.
Cole looks at Malcolm's closed left hand. Malcolm doesn't open it.
But that's not the end of the trick.
The rest of those are the next line's yours too.
With another magic shake, the penny travels into my shirt pocket.
Cole's eyes lock on Malcolm's shirt. He taps the pocket but doesn't open it.
That's still not the end. I do a final magic shake, and suddenly the penny returns to the hand where it started from.
Malcolm opens his right hand. The penny sits quietly in the center of his palm. Cole looks at the penny, then up to Malcolm's face. He cracks a smile.
That isn't magic.
What?
You just kept the penny in that hand the whole time.
Who, me?
Malcolm smiles a mischievous smile. He places the penny on the table. Cole stares at it, then looks to Malcolm.
I didn't know you were funny.
I forgot myself.
Malcolm and Cole share a warm look. The sound of kids laughing and playing out on the field comes pouring into the room again. Cole's expression changes back to sadness as he looks to the windows. Malcolm leans across the table and whispers.
Cole.
Cole looks to Malcolm.
One day, you're going to sound just like them.
Cole's chin starts to tremble. His voice cracks.
Promise?
Malcolm and Cole sit in silence and listen to the sound of children playing. Cut to interior hallway evening. Malcolm sorts through the many bills on the mail table.
Malcolm, sit your cute butt down and listen up. Are you listening?
Malcolm turns at the sound of the woman and moves into the empty living room where the TV is on. A blanket lays crumpled on the sofa. The woman's voice is coming from a video playing on the VCR. It's a wedding video. A large woman in a bridesmaid's dress stands holding the microphone. In the background, we can see the dance floor.
No doubt about it. Anna's like my sister. You better make her happy. And I'm not talking about, this tastes like real butter kind of happy. I'm talking about Julie Andrews twirling around like a mental patient on a mountaintop, kind of happy.
The large bridesmaid becomes very emotional.
You're really lucky. She's got so much love for you. Don't tell her I told you, but she said she loved you from the first time she met you on the street. She'd do anything for you. I love you guys. My nose is running. Why isn't someone getting me a tissue?
The woman hands the microphone to someone off screen. The camera pans away from her and zooms in on the dance floor. Malcolm and Anna are slow dancing. They're whispering and laughing with each other. The happiness from them is tangible. Malcolm can't help smiling as he stares at the flickering images. He turns and looks down the hall to their bedroom. Cut to interior bedroom evening. Malcolm moves into their bedroom. The sound of a shower can be heard from the bathroom. Malcolm moves to the bathroom door and opens it slowly. Cut to interior bathroom evening. Malcolm steps into the bathroom quietly. He stares at the silhouette of Anna's body through the smoked glass of the shower. Anna stands still, her head tilted back. Malcolm watches quietly. By his experience, it's clear he's taken by his wife's beauty. I think that's supposed to be expression. Malcolm starts towards the shower when his eyes glance to the sink. Malcolm locks on a tiny bottle resting on the marble surface. He reaches out and picks it up. The label on the plastic bottle reads, Zoloft antidepressant, to be taken twice daily. Malcolm gently puts down the plastic bottle. He gazes at the still figure of his wife as the water covers her. Malcolm leaves the bathroom. He's not sure what to make. Oh, he makes sure not to make a noise with the door as he closes it. Dissolve to exterior Darren's house day. Colorful balloons flutter in the wind in front of an old gray stone home. Interior dining room day. Cole and an overweight boy named Bobby are seated at a dining table covered in colorful paper. A stack of birthday presents are sitting on the table next to a cake. The house is filled with the sound of children playing and laughing. Cole and the overweight boy are the only ones in the dining room. Bobby watches with a dull expression as Cole moves his hand in circles in the air.
Then you do the magic shake, and now the penny moves from my pocket all the way to the hand it started in.
Cole smiles and holds out his hand. His fingers open to reveal the penny. Bobby stares.
That's stupid.
Cole loses his smile.
It's supposed to be funny.
It's stupid.
Cole and the overweight boy stare at each other.
Give me my penny back.
Cole gives the boy back his penny. He gazes at Bobby.
Don't be sad.
Bobby looks up sharply.
What'd you say?
Nothing.
Bobby stares down at him before returning his attention to his tattered napkin. The two boys sit in silence. Cut to interior kitchen afternoon. Cole sits alone in the corner of the living room. The open kitchen doorway is next to him. Inside the kitchen are Lynn and Darren's mom speaking. It's clear they're from different worlds. Lynn is wearing tight clothes with her hair teased to dramatic heights. Darren's mom is in a designer suit.
He doesn't get invited to places.
It's our pleasure.
Last time was a Chuck E. Cheese party a year ago. He hid in one of those purple plastic tunnels and didn't come out.
Chucky who?
Cheese. It's a kid's place.
Darren's mom smiles formally and turns to give the catering people instructions on how to lay out the food on her sterling silver trays.
It's my whole life.
Darren's mom turns back to Lynn, the forced smile on her face.
I work at an insurance place and at Penny's, so Cole can go to that school. Oh,
J.C. Jennings?
Lynn nods yes.
Good for you.
wish I could be like my mama, though. She always knew what was wrong, just knew what to say.
Darren's mom glances down at her expensive watch.
Cole's going through something bad. He won't talk to me. I'm his mama. And I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what to say.
Lynn drowns in her thoughts. Cole moves away from the kitchen with sad eyes. Cut to interior hall afternoon. Cole walks past two expensively dressed mothers eating hors d'oeuvre as they move down the hallway.
Who's Mrs. West?
Aaron?
Wait, really? That?
No, Aaron, not
Oh.
Aaron.
Oh, where am I?
You're Mrs. Weston.
Did you have the brie?
Tasted like Cheese Whiz.
They pass when Cole moves down the shiny mahogany wood hallway. The woman's conversation fades away behind him. Cole turns a corner and comes to a dead stop. He turns white as he stares at an open crawl space closet a few feet away. Cole's eyes are riveted in the darkness of the closet. The hallway erupts with noise as the children run in from the backyard. Tomasimo is one of the children. He talks with the birthday boy, Darren, a skinny kid in a party hat.
I even got a trailer. For what? You only had one line. You're slow, you know that? The star of the commercial always has his own trailer. You need to think about your character alone.
Tommy glances down the hall and sees Cole standing frozen, staring at the crawl space closet. Tommy grabs Darren.
Darren, check it out.
Darren looks down the hall to Cole. My dad made me invite him. Tommy nudges Darren to move down the hall. Cole breaks from his trance as Tommy and Darren walk up.
Happy birthday, Darren.
Something you want to see in there?
Tommy points to the crawl space.
No.
Tommy looks to Darren, then back to Cole.
We're going to put on a pretend play. You want to be in it?
Okay.
It's called Locked in the Dungeon.
Tommy stares at Darren. Darren finally gets it.
Yeah, Cole. You get to be the one locked in the dungeon.
Oh, sorry. It happens too quickly for Cole to react. Darren and Tommy shove Cole backwards. He stumbles into the darkness of the crawl space.
Don't!
Tommy slams the door closed. Darren turns the lock. They crack smiles at each other as Cole bangs on the door. The banging goes on for a few seconds, then it just stops. Silence. Darren and Tommy look at each other, then back at the crawl space door. Then the screaming begins. Darren and Tommy back away from the door as Cole screams in terror at the top of his lungs. He crashes over and over again against the door, his body slamming against the wood. The door rattles like it's going to break off the hinges. The two boys are statues as Cole's blood-chilling yells fill the hallway. Footsteps spike the air as children and mothers come running down the hall. Lynn is one of them. Darren's mother turns the corner.
Who's making that noise?
She looks at the closet. The high-pitched screams cut through the hall.
Cole!
Lynn and Darren's mom rush to the door and turn the knob. The door flies open. Lynn reaches in and pulls out Cole. He's unconscious. Darren's mom looks into the crawl space. There's nothing inside except a couple of packing boxes in the back. She looks to Lynn. She turns around with Cole in her arms.
Help me get him in the car.
Cut to interior hospital reception area, afternoon. Colorful murals don the curved walls of the pediatric reception area. A spattering of children accompanied by adults sit and wait. Lynn and Malcolm are seated at a children's play table. A game made of a maze of wire sit on the table in front of them. A young resident, Dr. Hill, takes a seat at the table with them. He opens up his notes.
What's wrong with Cole?
The tests indicate that he did not have a seizure. In fact, he's doing fine. After some rest, he could go home tonight.
Lynn closes her eyes, lets out a tense breath. Malcolm eyes the doctor as he glances back to an academic-looking woman standing at the reception room door.
There's something else going on, Lynn.
Lynn opens her eyes and catches the doctor's expression.
What is it?
There are some scratches and bruises on your son that concern me.
Oh, man.
Those are from sports, from playing. He's not the most coordinated kid, but I don't want him to stop trying. You know what I mean?
Dr. Hill gestures to the woman standing by the doorway.
Miss Sloan over there is our social worker at the hospital. She's going to ask you some procedural questions.
Think I hurt my child? You think I'm a bad mother?
At this point, it's just procedure, and you should probably calm down.
How do you expect her to react?
You want me to answer your questions?
I'm sorry if I was being vague. Yes, I do.
Well, who's going to answer mine, you dick?
Dr. Hill stares at her before closing up his files.
What happened to my child today?
Dr. Hill gets up.
Something was happening to him, physically happening. Something was very wrong.
Dr. Hill hands his files to Mrs. Sloan and exits the reception room without looking back. Everyone in the reception room stares at Lynn. Mrs. Sloan walks up to the table and waits. Lynn takes a second, wipes her eyes, gathers her considerable strength.
How long will these questions take?
Cut to interior hospital room night. Cole lays rigid in the hospital bed. Blankets bundled up around him as if to shield him. Cole's eyes are fixed out the window. Malcolm quietly enters through the half-open door to the room. Cole spots him, visibly relaxes.
I've decided we shouldn't schedule sessions anymore. I'll just follow you around.
Cole smiles weakly as Malcolm takes a seat on a rolling metal chair. Malcolm notices Cole's legs emerging from under the hospital gown. Cole wears a man's dress sock. The baggy folds right all the way up to his knees.
Your father ever tell you bedtime stories?
Yes.
Malcolm looks to Cole. Malcolm makes the decision. He rolls in the chair across the room as he thinks.
Once upon a time, there was a prince who was being driven around. He drove around for a long, long time, driving and driving. It was a long trip. He fell asleep. When he woke up, they were still driving, and the long drive went on.
Dr. Crow,
Yes?
you haven't told bedtime stories before.
No.
You have to add some twists and stuff. Maybe they run out of gas.
No gas. Hey, that's good.
They sit in silence. Malcolm works on a new plot in his head.
Tell me a story about why you're sad.
Do you think I'm sad?
Cole nods yes.
What makes you think that?
Your eyes told me.
Malcolm's affected by his client.
I'm not supposed to talk about stuff like that.
Cole smiles softly. Malcolm stares at the tired child sitting before him in the hospital bed. Malcolm rolls his stool away from his client as he thinks. He slowly moves the rolling chair closer to Cole's bed.
Once upon a time, there was this person named Malcolm. He worked with children. Loved it more than anything. Then one night, he finds out he made a mistake with one of them. Didn't help that one at all. He thinks about that one a lot. Can't forget. Ever since then, things have been different. He's become messed up, confused, angry, not the same person he used to be. His wife doesn't like the person he's become. They don't speak anymore. They're like strangers.
Malcolm breaks from his thoughts and looks at Cole, who watches him with unwavering attention. Malcolm smiles.
And then one day, this person, Malcolm, meets a wonderful boy who reminds him of that one. Reminds him a lot of that one. Malcolm decides to try to help this new boy. He thinks maybe if he can help this boy, it would be like helping that one too.
Malcolm leans forward, whispers with emotional eyes.
I don't know how the story ends. I hope it's a happy ending.
Me too.
Cole looks at Malcolm's caring eyes. He stares at Malcolm for a long time. Everything that's said from this point on is whispered.
I want to tell you my secret now.
Malcolm blinks very slowly.
Okay.
Cole takes an eternal pause. A silent tension engulfs them both.
I see people. I see
Malcolm just gazes quietly.
I see dead people. Scare me.
In your dreams?
Cole shakes his head no.
When you're awake?
Cole nods yes.
Dead people, like in graves and coffins?
No, walking around like regular people. They can't see each other. Some of them don't know they're dead.
They don't know they're dead?
I see ghosts.
Malcolm becomes completely motionless, works to hide his shock. He and Cole stare at each other a long time.
They tell me stories, things that happened to them, things that happen to people they know.
Malcolm's words are extra controlled, revealing nothing.
How often do you see them?
All the time. They're everywhere. You won't tell anyone my secret, right?
No.
Will you stay here till I fall asleep?
Malcolm nods yes. Cole pulls the covers up to his chin and turns to the window in the room. Malcolm is very still and stares at Cole. Malcolm's eyes slowly turn and survey the room. They find nothing. Malcolm returns to watching Cole. Cole's eyes move around the room warily. We move in on them till his eyes fill the frame. And then we see what he's staring at. Through Cole's hospital room window, we see the adjacent wing of the hospital building. Rows of hospital room windows are visible. In the windows are patients, some old, some young. Some are dressed in modern hospital gowns, some from decades past. They stand unnaturally still in their windows, watching and waiting. Break
And
time.
yes, intermission time. So we'll see everybody on the 30. So
Okay.
get
7
your
minutes.
waters, get your
All right.
bathrooms. All right, good job, everyone.
Super.
Thank you. Thank you.
It is.
love how it doesn't surprise me at all that like Haley Joel Osment was able to read the script 3 times in a row. Like he surprised M. Night when he walks in for his audition. Number one, he was like one of the only kids that showed up wearing a tie. And number two, he like, you did that really well. He's like, oh yeah, I read it 3 times last night. He's like, you read your audition piece 3 times last night? He's like, no, I read the whole script 3 times last night.
Jeez.
I know. So the fact that we're commenting like how fast this is going, it's like an hour, we're already halfway through the script. I'm like, yeah, we're plugging right along. I totally believe, especially with as gripping as it is and unusual as it would have been at the time.
I like how he went from this, though this is the first I've ever heard, like, this is my first of this one, with knowledge from this one, but I just laugh how he went from this to voicing, he voices the Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
He was also in that Kevin Smith movie, Tusk. He played one of the other guys.
Never even heard of that.
Haven't heard of
Oh
that.
goodness, everybody's doing wonderfully.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Was everyone else camera shy? I'm kidding.
Sorry, I
Yep.
thought I was on. It's like sitting here like, yeah.
I'm here.
I'm not on.
I was just giving
I'm
everyone
sorry
a
if
hard
I sound a little down tonight. Just I don't have a lot of energy right now.
You sound
Perfect for
great.
the
You're
movie.
doing perfect.
You sound fine, but maybe you need some caffeine.
Nah, just
I'm
rest
okay. I didn't
afterwards.
even have a chance. I didn't have time to eat dinner because I was at the lab. So
Gotta do it.
I will get some later.
Excellent.
All right. Everybody turned up their thermostats. Did it suddenly get cold in here?
Thank you,
I'm
but
just
it's like-
wearing
it's
my
like biting-
fluffy PJ bottoms.
It's literally biting freezing here. So
Yes.
So there
Is
might
it-
be
are
lots
you
of
getting
ghosts
the
around
cold?
you.
Yeah.
I'm clever.
Very good
I'm wearing a
also.
long sleeve shirt, and
It's
I
like
see
minus
my camera just removed my hands.
with the wind chill, it's like minus 45 here right now. It's
oh my gosh.
Whoa,
Oh, Angelina.
Where
yeah.
are you?
Oh, I'm not outside.
No, that's not what I meant. Like,
Oh, Red Deer.
okay,
Minus
there's-
45.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah, don't
normal.
come visit Canada in the winter. You'll hate it.
Oh,
it's
my
minus
goodness.
20 here. Like
This
at
is
this moment.
very bizarre.
It's
a cold-
minus. Let me
cold
check
front.
my phone. Let me check my phone really quick. And I'll
It's a
tell you.
polar
And-
vortex or something, is
Oh
what they were
my
saying.
And for the
Goodness.
audience, Celsius or Fahrenheit?
It says it's 22,
Celsius.
but it's with the real feel. It's like minus 27, but it's probably colder.
Minus 40 is the same in Fahrenheit or Celsius. So, oh, is that what you
Oh,
said?
really?
Yeah, it is.
It's been as cold as minus 50 around here before.
Yeah, it's and plus 50 Celsius in
Yeah.
BC somewhere last year or the year before. It's weird.
Yeah, I've got the heat cranked up. I'm not going anywhere tomorrow, but on Thursday I have to get up really freaking early because the bus leaves early.
All right. Well, then we'll try to hurry up on this so you can get some rest tonight and get some rest tomorrow. I was
I've
trying to
got
make a
lots
back
of
joke about
schoolwork to
us
do
making it colder.
tomorrow.
All right. Well, then we'll get some rest. You can get your schoolwork done early so you can get some rest for the bus. But
Like the bus leaves at like 8:15 in the morning. So I got to get up at like 6:30.
all right, you can do it. It'll be worth it. So right now we're going
Oh,
to
Jacob, I love you because you said I'm worth it. I love you. You're such a good friend. I owe you a nice home cooked dinner for all the stuff you've done for me.
and then I owe you one back for all that you do here.
Oh, I would love your cooking.
Oh, you wouldn't. But
Sorry, I
we
didn't
should
mean
I
to
move
would
on.
eat it with
We should
I
move
bread.
already know the rule. If I ever see any of y'all, I'm just taking over the nearest cooking available space and just making
Oh yeah,
food.
Petra. I
So-
would
Oh, you
eat your
guys can
food.
all make. Yeah, I don't need to cook anything. You guys can cook
Oh
everything.
no, just give me access to your cooking. You can
Angelina,
make
I
food.
owe you
Okay.
and MK
Okay,
a cooked
guys.
dinner.
yeah, I hope we have more in-person get-togethers and all that can happen. But for now,
Well,
We'll
we're still
continue
live
this stream.
streaming.
yes,
Yes.
we're live and streaming.
Let's get back to it. Okay.
So Petra, all yours.
Cut to exterior street corner night. Malcolm hails a cab. He steps off the sidewalk, lost in his thoughts. Steam rises from a street vent. Headlights. A car suddenly emerges from the steam, narrowly missing Malcolm. He jerks out of the way. His briefcase falls to the ground. His tape recorder falls to the sidewalk. He reaches down and picks it up.
Cole, his pathology is more severe than initially assessed. He's suffering from visual hallucinations, paranoia, symptoms of some kind of school-age schizophrenia. Medication and hospitalization may be required.
Click. Malcolm's hand with the tape recorder drops to his side. Might need to whisper a little louder. Stage whisper. Can anybody hear her?
No.
Can you hear me?
There we go.
Now we can. Okay.
I'm not helping him.
There you go. Malcolm stares into the night. He stands alone, his thoughts crash like thunder in his head. Cut to interior car night. The streets turn red as Lynn drives home from the hospital in silence. She glances down to her right. Cole is curled up asleep in the passenger seat, back in his regular clothes, a tiny party hat clutched in his hand. He looks like a 4-year-old. The sight of him exhausted still hits Lynn hard. Lynn's face drowns in deep concern. She lays a hand on Cole's head as she drives, carries Cole in. He's asleep on her shoulder. She carries him down the hall to his bedroom. Lynn lays Cole gently on his bed next to his German Shepherd puppy. Cole curls up with Sebastian. Lynn watches the two youngsters sleep for a moment. Cole is curled up with a tiny party hat clutched in his hands. He looks like a 4-year-old. Lynn has been carrying Cole's sweater from over her shoulder. She pulls it off and begins to fold it. Her attention is drawn to the sweater. She moves her fingers fingers the fabric of the back. It's ripped. Her eyes move to Cole. In the middle of the back of his t-shirt are 3 small tears. Lynn pushes the fabric open with her fingers and sees deep fingernail-like scratches on his skin. Lynn looks around helplessly, fear creeping into her eyes. Cut to interior hall night. Lynn emerges from Cole's room. She turns off the hall lights as she moves into her room and closes the door. We hear Lynn pick up a phone and dial.
Hi, this is Lynn Sear, Cole's mother. I wonder if we could talk about your son and his friends keeping their goddamn hands off my boy?
The thermostat on the wall reads 78 degrees. Dissolve to interior hall night. A few hours later, the house seems threateningly still, too still. Cut to interior Cole's house night. An unnatural silence fills each room of the house. The thermostat on the wall now reads 52 degrees. A light turns on from under Cole's door. The door opens a crack. Cole's tiny face peeks out. Eyes scan the darkness. The door opens a little bit more. Cole's knees are pressed together. His body dances a little. He has to pee. He moves cautiously into the hall. Cole moves briskly to a door halfway down the corridor. Opens it. He turns on the light in the bathroom. He checks behind the shower curtain before he turns his back and pees into the toilet. A large figure moves past the doorway. Cole instantly stops peeing. His body becomes very still. He slowly reaches for the toilet handle and flushes. He closes his pants and turns. He doesn't come out of the bathroom at first. He just stands there and stares into the darkness of the hall. His breath forms tiny clouds in the cold air. Cole finally steps out into the hallway. His eyes catch a slant of light now coming from the kitchen. Cole hesitates before being drawn into the kitchen. He moves down the hall and turns the corner. Oh, did I read that twice? Okay. Coming to a stop in the doorway of the kitchen. Cut to interior kitchen night. Cole stares at the back of a person cooking food on the stove. Cole's fear slowly fades away.
Mama? Dream about daddy again?
The person turns. It's not Lynn. It's a strange woman. Her face is demented. A purple gash cuts across her forehead. All the cabinets and drawers are open behind her.
Dinner's not ready.
Cole's face turns the color of ash.
What are you going to do?
Cole backs up to the doorway.
You can't hurt me anymore.
The woman smiles menacingly, thrusts her wrists forward. They've been savagely cut. Cut to interior hallway night. Cole turns and runs down the hall. Cut to interior bedroom night. Cole runs across his room. He heads right for the homemade tent seated in the corner with the do not touch sign on it. He scurries in. His legs disappear as the bed sheets flap closed behind him. The crazed woman stands at the end of the hall. Doesn't come any closer. Cut to interior tent night. Cole is curled up in the tent. He lays still for a moment, reaching over and flicking on a flashlight. The red interior of the tent gets lit up. It's a striking sight. The bed walls of the tent are lined with religious pictures taped to the walls. Tiny statues of saints surround the interior perimeter. We see the statue Cole stole from the churches in here. This tent is a sanctuary made by an 8-year-old to hide in. Dissolve. Interior auditorium stage afternoon. The lights in the gym go down. The spotlight opens on the stage as the curtain moves to the sides. A sign to the side of the stage reads, "The 3rd and 4th grade present Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book." The parents of thought as Tommy Temasimo walks out in a villager's outfit.
There once was a boy very different than other boys. He lived in the jungle and he could talk with the animals.
Backstage, Mr. Cunningham cues the rest of the children. The audience applauds as the full cast of the actors come out. Some are villagers, some are dressed as trees and animals. Cole comes on stage holding a painted cardboard monkey. Malcolm applauds from the back of the auditorium. Cut to interior school corridor afternoon. The arched halls of the private school are lined with posted drawings and test papers. Cole and Malcolm walk down an empty hall.
Do you think the play sucked big time?
What?
Tommy Temasimo acted in a cough syrup commercial. He thought everybody was self-conscious and unrealistic. He said the play sucked big time.
I know every child is special in their own way, but Tommy sounds like a punk. I thought the play was excellent. Better than Cats.
Cats?
Never mind.
Beat. They continue down the hall in silence. Malcolm takes his time.
Cole, I was really interested in what you told me in the hospital. I'd like to hear more about it.
Malcolm stops at a set of doors at the end of the hall, realizes Cole is no longer next to him. Malcolm turns to find Cole frozen about 10 feet back. Malcolm walks to him. He notices Cole's expression as he gets closer.
What's wrong?
Cole points to the doors.
Is something in there?
Cole doesn't say anything. Cut to interior gymnasium afternoon. It's a large and shadowy gym. Climbing ropes hang from the wood beam ceiling. Cole is trembling slightly as he stands next to Malcolm.
What is it?
Malcolm follows the child's gaze to the ceiling of the gym.
I don't see.
Be real still.
Malcolm looks to Cole and then turns back to the ceiling. Malcolm's body becomes very still.
Sometimes you feel it inside, like you're falling down real fast, but you're really just standing still.
Malcolm looks at the wood beams and climbing ropes.
Do you ever feel prickly things on the back of your neck?
Yes.
And the tiny hairs
Malcolm
on
glances at Cole.
And the tiny hairs on your arm, are they all standing up?
Malcolm glances at Cole, surprise on his face.
Yes.
When they get mad, it gets cold.
Them?
Malcolm looks at the empty stairwell, then back to Cole. Nothing is said for a few moments.
I don't see anything. Are you sure they're there? Cole?
Malcolm turns back to Cole. He finds the child with tears in his eyes. Cole looks at Malcolm desperately.
Please make them leave.
Malcolm stares helplessly.
I'm working on it.
Malcolm gently leads Cole away from the stairs. Cole glances back as he moves out of the stairwell. Cole's POV. The ropes and school banners dangling at the top of the stairs sway a little, but so do the 3 bodies hanging by their necks from a wooden beam. It's a truly horrific sight. A black man in breeches and no shirt, face beaten to a pulp, hangs in the center. A white woman in a torn white frilly dress, tears soaking her face, hangs to the right. A small mixed-race child in half pants hangs to their left. The family stares at Cole. They follow Cole with their tortured eyes as he exits the stairwell. Cut to exterior historic Philadelphia night. Malcolm walks from the bus stop over the cobblestone streets in front of Head House Square. The streets are quiet and dark. Nighttime has fallen over the city. He slowly comes to a stop in front of an old building. He holds his arm up. uses his other hand to gently touch the hairs on his arm's surface. He looks up slowly, looks around. The dark shadows fill the corners of the historic building. Malcolm stares into the darkness.
Is anyone there?
A long moment as he waits. The shadows seem to move, then become still. Malcolm shakes off the moment. He returns his hands to his pockets as he moves through the dark streets of Philadelphia to his home. Cut to interior hall night. Voices, the doorway to Malcolm and Anna's bedroom is open. Strained voices spill out into the hallway.
Look, he's an 8-year-old child. He's my only client. If he invites me to his play, I'm not thinking about how late I get back. I go. I have to go, you know that. That's the only way I know how to work. Vincent said I failed him. I won't give Cole a chance to say those words to me. I won't.
Portable rings out in the hall.
Please let it ring.
We hear movement. Anna emerges from the bedroom, eyes raw. She wipes her tears. She picks up the phone and moves down the stairs. Malcolm walks out into the hall, stops at the top of the stairs. Anna's voice can be heard speaking on the phone from downstairs.
I can't talk now.
Malcolm doesn't hear anything as Anna listens to the person on the phone. She smiles as she wipes her tears away. He starts for the basement door again.
I thought about you too.
Malcolm turns. He stands frozen at the top of the stairs, Anna's hushed words rising in the air like a gun blast. Cut to interior kitchen night. Lynn adjusts the thermostat as she tries to keep herself warm.
I don't care what they say. This thing is definitely broken.
Lynn fiddles with the dials. Cole is standing before the beat-up 12-inch kitchen TV. On the television screen is Tommy Tomasimo. He stands in his pajamas in a doorway. He coughs.
Mommy, my throat hurts.
Cole watches as Tommy's TV mother and father give him a spoonful of medicine.
Pedia-Ease cough suppressant. Gentle, fast, effective.
Cole watches Tommy running around in his TV background the very next TV morning. He's not sick again. Tommy waves to the camera, smiling and healthy. The TV goes black as Cole throws his shoe at the power button. He moves his hand he moves to the dinner table where Lynn is seated. Cole sits. His hands go to the table. He's wearing a pair of his father's extra-large leather gloves. Cole's small hands don't even fit the palm. Cole has difficulty trying to pick up his milk glass with the gloves.
Take them off.
Cole removes the gloves from his hand and places them next to his plate.
I don't want them on my table.
Cole moves them to the floor. Lynn is irritated. This is clearly a sore point between them. Lynn and Cole eat quietly.
I saw what was in your bureau drawer when I was cleaning.
Cole looks up, an anxious expression on his face.
You got something you want to confess?
Cole just stares.
The bumblebee pendant. Why do you keep taking it?
Cole looks down at his lap.
It was Grandma's. It's not for playing. What if it broke? You know how sad I'd be?
You cried because you miss Grandma so much.
Right. So why do you take it, sweetheart?
Sometimes people think they lose things and they didn't really lose them. It just gets moved.
Did you move the bumblebee pendant?
Cole shakes his head no. Lynn just stares.
You didn't take it before? You didn't take it the time after that? And now? You didn't take it again?
Don't get mad.
So who moved it?
Cole doesn't answer.
There's only 2 of us. Maybe someone came into our house, took the bumblebee pendant out of my closet, and then laid it nicely in your drawer. Is that what happened?
Maybe.
Lynn just stares at Cole.
I'm so tired, Cole. I'm tired in my body. I'm tired in my mind. I'm tired in my heart, and I need a little help here. I don't know if you noticed, but our little family isn't doing so good.
Lynn folds her napkin quietly.
I'm praying for us. But I must not be praying right. Looks like we're just going to have to answer each other's prayers. If we can't talk to each other, we're not going to make it. Now, baby, tell me. I won't be mad, honey. Did you take the bumblebee pendant?
Cole's eyes start to water up.
No.
Lynn goes cold.
Had enough roast beef. You need to leave the table.
Cole just stares at his mother's expression.
Go!
Cole gets up, never taking his eyes off his mother, and leaves the room. Cut to interior hall night. Cole enters the dark hallway. He gets startled by the sound of Speak growling. Sebastian comes racing down the hall and scurries past Cole. Cole watches his puppy dart into the living room and under the couch. Cole turns slowly back down the hall. The door to Cole's room sits at the end of the corridor. It's almost shut. Cole watches as the door begins to open very slowly. It opens wide. Cole doesn't move an inch. Suddenly, in the stillness and the darkness, a small figure scurries from another bedroom into the blackness of Cole's room. It happens like a flash. Cole stops breathing. The figure slowly steps out from Cole's doorway. It's a boy, a few years older than Cole. The boy whispers in a low, hoarse voice.
Come on. I'll show you where my dad keeps his gun. Come on.
The boy turns. We see that the back of his head is missing as he disappears into the darkness of Cole's room. Cole is too terrified to move. Cut to interior kitchen night. Lynn is kneeling on the kitchen floor trying to coax the puppy out of the broom closet.
Mama.
Lynn turns, surprised to hear her son's voice. Lynn's eyes are red from crying. She wipes them quickly with the back of her hand. Mother and son look at each other.
If you're not very mad, can I sleep in your room tonight?
Lynn fights back tears.
Look at my face, Cole.
Cole does. Lynn smiles at her son.
I'm not very mad.
Lynn hugs him.
Baby, why are you shaking?
Cole doesn't answer.
Cole, what's wrong?
Cole just closes his eyes and holds his mom tight.
Please, tell me.
Cole doesn't say a word.
Please.
Cut to interior antique store day. We're in an antique store, filled floor to ceiling with furniture and knickknacks. Anna stands with a young couple. All three lean over and peer into a glass cabinet. An antique engagement ring sits on a velvet stand.
It's Edwardian, beautifully worked. Entirely platinum with a mine-cut diamond and actual color Burmese sapphire. It's timeless.
You got anything a little plainer?
Plainer?
The young woman looks at her bow. Okay.
Plainer? You want a plain ring to go with your plain fiance? Is that how it is?
No, baby. Don't get me in a tizzy. Don't get in a tizzy. It's just, you're so beautiful. You're like a Burmese sapphire all by yourself. You don't need all of that.
Uh-huh.
Anna smiles as she takes the ring out of the cabinet.
Why don't you two hold it?
She places it in their hands.
Do you feel longing? Excuse me? When I touch this piece, I feel a longing. I imagine the woman who owned this loved a man deeply she couldn't be with.
The woman looks at Anna with great intrigue.
Did he have wavy hair and broad shoulders?
The young man throws an odd glance at his fiancée.
I don't know, but maybe. A lot of the pieces in this store give me feelings. I think maybe when people own things and then they pass away, a part of themselves gets printed on these things like fingerprints.
The young man and the young woman gaze at Anna silently. They look down at the ring. They place their hands on it reverently, delicately, like checking for a pulse. Anna can't hold back her sweet smile. Cut to interior antique store day. Anna moves to the back desk where Sean comes out. He's carrying an antique bench in his arms. He places it down and takes a much-needed seat.
You don't need someone with a master's. You need a wrestler guy whose neck is larger than his head.
I need a wrestler with a master's.
Anna fills out the paperwork for the ring.
What's this?
Anna looks over to find Sean standing at his desk where a birthday present sits on the tabletop. Sean looks at her.
You?
Anna nods yes.
Is it wrestling tights?
Anna smiles as she moves to his desk. Sean begins to tear off the wrapping paper like a kid at Christmas. Anna laughs. Sean holds up a weathered hardback copy of The Great Gatsby.
It's a first edition.
Wow, this is too much. It's perfect, Anna.
Sean puts down the book and hugs her. He pulls back a little, still holding her. They smile at each other. The moment goes on just that crucial fraction of a second too long. Their smiles slowly melt away as they continue to hold each other. Nothing happens for the longest time. Crash! A shattering door slam echoes through the store. Anna and Jeffrey. Good Lord, he turned into someone else. Anna and Sean pull apart. They rush past the young man and young woman to the front of the store. They find the glass front door cracked in a spiderweb pattern. They carefully push open the door and step out onto the sidewalk. Look around. No one in sight. Anna stares down the empty street, a concerned expression on her face. Cut to exterior street day. Malcolm walks angrily down the sidewalk. He stops as his hand goes to his side. He winces with pain as he keeps walking. Cut to exterior supermarket day. Lynn and Cole emerge from the supermarket. Cole rides inside the shopping cart tucked between bags of food. Mother and son are quiet as they move towards their car. Lynn leans over, looks at the side of her son's pensive face. She starts pushing the cart faster. Cole wakes from his thoughts as his hair flutters in the wind. He looks back. Lynn is smiling as she pushes. Cole turns and raises his hands in the air like he's on a roller coaster. They slow and come to rest at the bumper of the car. Lynn leans over, sees the side of Cole's smiling face. Lynn's face shows a little happiness for the first time. A little hope enters her eyes as she starts to load the groceries into the car. Cut to interior car day. Cole and Lynn ride home with a back seat full of groceries. Cole finishes off a cherry popsicle as he watches out the window. Lynn looks over.
Let's rent a movie.
Cole bites off the last of the popsicle and looks at his mom.
Your pick.
Cole stares at his mom quietly.
It can even have Jean-Claude Van Damme in it if you want.
Cole smiles at that. He nods yes, joyfully. His smile fades away as he notices his mother fiddling with the heater controls. Cole gazes out the front windshield as the car moves towards home. Suddenly, a piece of paper sticks to the windshield. It's a page from a playbill, a 1941 playbill. It flies away, revealing a woman in a flowing, flowery dress from the 40s suddenly walking into the middle of the street as the pages of her playbill swirl in the air.
Mama, look out!
The woman in the flowery dress turns. Her hand rests on her stomach. We see she's pregnant. Playbills stick to the windshield, obstructing the view. Lynn slams the brakes too late. The woman smashes into the front grille of the car. Her terror-stricken face comes over the hood and crashes right through the windshield in a shower of blood and glass. Cole screams. Lynn screams. The car screeches to a stop in the middle of a congested intersection. The line of cars behind them suddenly hit their brakes and swerve to one side, avoiding a mass collision. After a few seconds, the entire intersection has come to a halt. Cole, who has shut his eyes, slowly opens them. He looks around fearfully. His eyes move to the windshield. No broken glass, no blood, and no woman. Cole looks out through the pristine windshield onto the street where cars are stopped and staring all around them. Cole slowly looks over to his mother. He finds her staring at him in complete and utter disbelief. Her hands clutch the wheel, the whites of her knuckles showing her fear. She has no idea why he screamed. Cut to interior den afternoon. The den is very quiet. Cole and Malcolm sit around the multicolored table. Malcolm leans back in his small plastic chair, arms folded over his chest. Cole sits slumped over the table, eyes peering out over his arms. They both look like shit.
You don't want to ask me questions today?
Malcolm nods no.
Can I ask you then?
Yes.
What do you want more than anything?
I don't know.
I told you what I want.
I don't know, Cole.
Why don't you think about it for a while?
Malcolm doesn't respond. Cole watches him.
I know what I want. Oh, whoops.
I know what I want. My goal is to speak to my wife the way she and I used to speak. Like there was no one in the world but us.
How are you going to do that?
I can't be your doctor anymore. I haven't given my family enough attention. Bad things happen when you do that. Do you understand?
You
The
want
room
to
falls into silence again. Cole speaks extra soft.
You want to go home?
Malcolm stares across to Cole.
I have to.
When?
Soon. 1 week.
Malcolm looks down at his eyes full of emotion.
I'm going to transfer you. I know 2 psychologists that are exceptional.
Don't fail me.
Malcolm looks up sharply.
What?
Don't give up. You're the only one who can help me. I know it.
Malcolm tries to stay composed. It doesn't work.
You want to know a secret? I was a paper champion. Do you know what that means?
Cole shakes his head no. Tears fall down Malcolm's cheeks.
Don't cry.
It means I wasn't what everyone thought I was. I was a fake.
You weren't a paper champion.
Someone else can help you. Someone else can make you happy.
Cole is crying now. He wipes his eyes with his sleeve. They sit quietly and stare at each other. Cole whispers,
So, Dr. Crow,
Yes?
you believe me, right?
a long pause.
Dr. Crow, you believe my secret, right?
They both just stare.
I don't know how to answer that.
Cole searches for the answer in Malcolm's eyes. He finds it, but it's not the one he wanted. Malcolm looks down.
How can you help me if you don't believe me?
Cole reaches into his pocket, pulls out a penny. He pushes it across the table. Malcolm gazes at it, then looks up at Cole's pained eyes.
Some magic's real.
Cut to interior basement afternoon. Malcolm sits stoically at his desk in the basement. His eyes gaze at the dusty framed certificate from the city of Philadelphia shoved between two packing boxes. Malcolm leans his head back against the chair, stares into the shadows, drowns in his thoughts. The chair creaks as he slowly sits up again. Malcolm's eyes scan the room and come to stop on a box marked with the label of Session Tapes, Vincent Gray. Cut to interior basement afternoon. A tape slides into a tape player seated on Malcolm's desk. Malcolm hits play. The sound of a door opening and closing is heard.
Sorry about that. Hope I didn't leave you alone too long. Wow, it's cold in here.
We hear a chair move as Malcolm sits down, then silence.
Vincent, why are you crying?
A 10-year-old's A 10-year-old's voice answers.
Yes.
Yes.
What happened? Did something upset you?
Vincent sniffles.
You won't believe me.
I won't believe what.
I don't want to talk anymore. I want to go home, okay? I want to go home.
Okay, Vincent, you can go home.
The tape goes to silence. Malcolm just sits in the shadowy basement. He doesn't move for a while. Then he hits the rewind button, stops it, presses play.
About that. Hope I didn't leave you too long. Wow, it's cold in here.
Malcolm hits the rewind button again, lets it rewind for a while, presses play.
Like needles either. When I was a kid, I had this blood test down. Threw up chilled cheese fries all over this male nurse.
We hear Vincent chuckle softly. The sound of a door opening is heard.
Excuse me. Dr. Reed is online too.
Vincent, I have to take this. Give me a minute.
Okay.
Footsteps as Malcolm and the secretary leave the room. The door closes, and the silence. Nothing happens for a long time. Then we hear a sudden chair screech across the floor. Vincent's breathing quickens. A slight static starts to filter in on the tape. Malcolm's eyes are locked on the spool of audio tape as it spins in the player. Malcolm's fingers move to the volume dial. He turns it way up. The static noise from the tape fills the basement. Malcolm leans closer to the tape player, closes his eyes, and listens. Deep in the static, another sound emerges, whispering. A man's voice is heard in the room with Vincent.
Familia, no dejen que esto me pase. Mi familia. No, yo no quiero morir. Familia.
Jesus
Malcolm's
Christ.
mouth opens in disbelief.
Jesus Christ.
Cut to exterior street afternoon. Malcolm stands on a familiar sidewalk. He stares into the bay window of Mr. Marshall's brownstone. Inside the window, we see Mr. Marshall seated with a group of older gentlemen his age. They sit around a table eating sandwiches and talking. Malcolm watches as Mr. Marshall tells a story to his friends. We can't hear what he's saying, but when he finishes, everyone at the table laughs. Mr. Marshall smiles. Malcolm can't help smiling as well. This is not the same man he saw before. Life has returned to the house. Malcolm turns and moves down the street, each step faster than the next. Cut to interior church late afternoon. Malcolm moves to the front of the church down the center aisle. His eyes scan the empty seats. No one in sight in any direction. Malcolm stands in the aisle a little out of breath. He holds his hand to his side as he winces a bit. Malcolm's eyes float up to the balcony where toy soldiers sit on the banister. Cole's head pops up.
Hello again.
He looks down and studies Malcolm.
You've been running around?
Malcolm nods yes.
It makes you feel better?
Malcolm nods yes again.
I like to run around. It's good exercise. You want to ask me questions now?
Malcolm shakes his head no.
You want to be a Lance Corporal in Company M, 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines? We're being dispatched to Guangdong Province.
Cole holds up his plastic rifleman. Malcolm's eyes show he understands now.
Maybe later.
Something happened, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Are you wigging out?
Yes, I am.
We're not gonna start crying again, like, are we?
No, we're not.
What happened?
Malcolm glances around the empty church before looking back up to Cole.
These people that died and are still hanging around, maybe they weren't ready to go.
Cole studies Malcolm's passionate face, a new face.
You really look better.
Maybe they wake up that morning thinking they have 1,000 things to do and 1,000 days left to do them in, and then all of a sudden it's all taken away. No one asked them, it's just gone.
You have a nice red on your cheek now.
Do you know what Yo no quiero morir is?
Cole shakes his head no.
It's Spanish. It means, I don't want to die. Not all the ghosts are scary, are they? Like Mrs. Marshall?
No.
What do these ghosts want when they talk to you? Think real careful now, Cole.
Cole stops moving. He looks over the balcony railing at Malcolm.
Just help.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think they all want that, even the scary ones.
You believe now?
Malcolm's stare is unwavering.
I believe both of you now. And I think I might know how to make them go away.
You do?
Malcolm nods yes.
I think they know you're one of those guys, rare people who can see them. You need to help them. Each one of them. Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone.
Cole takes a big sigh, fiddles with his rifleman.
What if they don't want help? What if they're just angry and they want to hurt somebody?
I don't think that's the way it works, Cole.
Cole looks nervous.
How do you know for sure?
Malcolm's eyes are drawn to Cole's arms. Peeking out from under his shirt sleeve are a set of cuts. Malcolm gazes at them.
I don't.
Cole and Malcolm stand silently in the center aisle of the back of the church. Cut to exterior house night. Malcolm moves around the corner on his street. His mind surges with thoughts. Then he glances up. His steps come slow to a complete stop. Further down the sidewalk, coming out the front door of his house, is Sean. Malcolm's face turns to stone. He watches as Sean comes down the front stairs and starts across the street. A sudden rage surges up. Malcolm moves towards Sean fast. Sean reaches his car and enters it. He doesn't notice the figure closing in on him. The engine starts. Malcolm reaches the car a second too late. Sean pulls away into traffic, almost hitting another car as he does. Malcolm watches the car disappear down the next street. Malcolm turns and looks up at his home with unchecked anger and overwhelming pain erupting his eyes. Cut to interior house night. Malcolm stands in his foyer. Anna is sitting on the stairs, her phone in her hand. She faces away from the hall. Malcolm's a ball of tension as he listens to Anna talking to the phone.
You just walked out. You're probably on your way home. I'm leaving this message. I didn't get to say what I meant. I know you're confused. It's just, I'm not prepared to do this, Sean. I don't want to be ashamed of that. I don't want to have to make excuses for that. And I wanted to tell you, I bought your present wholesale from a friend. I didn't even pay tax on it. You don't need someone cheap like that. By the way, It's a non-refundable item. It's scratched on the bottom. Are you smiling? I hope you're smiling. I'll see you at the store.
Beat, a long silence. Then we hear Anna gently hang up. Malcolm leans back against an old radiator. His eyes close as the sound of his wife's footsteps rise up the stairs. Cut to interior brownstone night. The house is silent. No movement. Cole is in his pajamas asleep on the floor of the tent. Curled up next to him is Sebastian. They sleep surrounded by statues and pictures. Cole's eyes open as he hears his mother's distant voice.
Cole? Cole, what's happening?
Cole quickly gets up and rushes out of the tent. His foot catches on one of the chairs the tent is fastened to. He stumbles out. He doesn't realize one of the bed sheets comes loose. It folds to the ground. Cut to interior hall night. He doesn't stop as he moves through the shadowy hall and pushes his mother's bedroom door open. He cut to interior Lynn's bedroom night. Cole stands in the doorway to his mother's bedroom. He looks over the room carefully. Everything is still. Lynn's room is sparse. No paintings, no accessories. A bed without a frame sits in the corner. A table with a sewing machine fills the other side of the room. His mother's voice turns his attention back to the bed.
Cole, what's happening to you?
Cole looks down and finds his mother laying in bed. Her face is contorted in deep sadness as she speaks in her sleep.
Someone hurting you? I'll beat their asses.
Cole smiles at his mother as he moves to her side, touches her face with his tiny fingers.
Mama, you sleep now.
His touch seems to have an effect. Lynn becomes still in her sleep. Cole watches her carefully. Cut to interior hall night. Cole closes the door to his mother's bedroom shut. He stands in the hallway, lets out a heavy sigh. His breath rolls in a tiny cloud in front of him. Cole's brow furrows. He breathes again, this time intentionally, watches as his breath materializes in the suddenly ice-cold air. Every muscle in Cole's 8-year-old body becomes rigid. He takes a second before moving through the inky darkness of the hall. Cut to interior bedroom night. Cole hurries to fix his tent. He ties the collapsed bedsheet in a knot on the edge of the chair. He checks it carefully before entering the tent. Cut to interior tent night. When Cole turns around, he stops breathing. An 8-year-old girl vomits on herself in his tent. She finishes and looks up at Cole with drawn eyes.
I'm feeling much better now.
The girl reaches out with her withered and emaciated hands. Tiny tubes hang from her wrists. She scratches Cole as he tumbles back terrified out of the tent. The whole tent collapses. Cut to interior living room night. Cole runs hard out of his bedroom and down the hall to the living room. He gets down to the ground and slides under the wooden-legged couch. Sebastian is already huddled in fear under the couch. Cole presses as far back as he can and waits. Cole's POV is of the living room floor. Chair legs, coffee table base, rugs. Everything is still. Cole holds his breath. He waits. Nothing happens. He takes his first short breaths and watches the room for any sign of movement. Cut to interior Cole's bedroom night. A few minutes later, Cole is now standing in his doorway. He stares at the hunched figure covered by the collapsed tent. Cole makes a decision. He looks like he's going to cry, fights it back. He walks towards it, reaches down and slowly pulls the sheet off the figure. The girl vomits one more time before looking up at Cole.
I'm feeling much better.
Cole and the little girl stare silently at each other. Cole holds her stare with trembling eyes. He opens his mouth. It takes a while before the words come out.
Do you want something?
Cut to interior public bus day. A downtown SEPTA bus public bus. Malcolm and Cole are among the smattering of passengers. They're both wearing suits. Cole leans his head against the glass of the scratched window. Cole's large eyes drink in the passing scenery. Cole's POV. A dark abandoned building stretches for an entire block on one side. A man in a gray, full-bodied uniform with numbers printed across his chest rises out of the tall weeds in front of the building. He hobbles his way desperately towards the bus. His hands and legs are shackled. He lunges out for Cole in the passing window.
My name's not Sullivan!
A gunshot echoes in the air. The man's chest explodes in red as he falls to his knees screaming. Cole jerks back from the window. The bus quietly drives past the old prison building. Cole stares down at his lap and tries not to look up anymore.
She came a long way to visit me, didn't she?
I guess she did.
Cole falls into deep thoughts as he stares down at his dress shoes. Malcolm slips back into silence. The city bus slithers through the old Philadelphia streets, working its way downtown. Cut to exterior home afternoon. A modest home sits on a corner, its small lawn groomed carefully. Rows of parked cars spill out from the driveway onto the streets. People in suits and dark dresses move somberly in and out of the front door of the home. Cole and Malcolm join the visitors as they walk slowly towards the door. A frail little girl about 4 years of age sits in a dark dress on the swings in front of the house. Visitors say hello to her as they pass. She doesn't say anything back.
Her little sister?
Cole nods yes. Malcolm and Cole watch her for a moment before following the others into the modest corner home. Cut to interior home afternoon. The home is packed with people. The gathering of mourners is standing room only. The air is filled with dozens of hushed conversations.
Can you imagine being a child in a bed for 2 years?
We move to.
I think it was 6.
We move to.
6 separate doctors.
We move to.
The little one's falling ill now.
We move to.
God help them.
A family portrait hangs near the front door. 2 girls, one bigger, one smaller, sit on the ground in front of their mother and father. Their smiling faces welcome the mourners. Malcolm and Cole are standing at the bottom of a staircase, waiting. The front door opens as another group arrives. Malcolm nods to Cole as the foyer fills up. The 2 of them quietly disappear up the stairs. Cut to interior hallway afternoon. The narrow hall is lined with boxes of medical supplies. IV stands, sterile needles, and pads are in the process of being taken away. The boxes are piled outside a closed bedroom door. Cole stares at the shut door like he doesn't want to go in. His eyes move to the large, colorful map of the world that dawns the hallway wall. He gazes at the many countries and continents.
I wish I was somewhere else.
Where will you go where no one has died?
Cole stares at the map, then turns to Malcolm.
Don't go home, okay?
I definitely won't.
Cole turns and stares quietly at the door. He waits a long time before reaching for the doorknob. Cut to interior girl's bedroom afternoon. Cole closes the door behind him. He turns and gazes at the girl's bedroom. There's a hospital bed near the window. The walls are covered with get well cards and drawings from friends, family, and school children. Her shelves are filled with puppets, all shapes and sizes of puppets. Next to the shelf is a puppet stage and a camcorder on a mini tripod sitting next to it. Cole walks to the shelf and picks up a finger puppet dancer. He places it in his pocket. On the girl's desk is a large collection of video cassettes. The labels read, Puppet Show Christmas 96, Puppet Show Birthday Party, Puppet Show Class Trip. Cole reads the labels carefully before moving towards the closets. He passes the bed. An emaciated hand reaches out from underneath and grabs Cole's ankle. Cole jerks back, startled. He watches as the girl's hand slips back under the bed. He stays very still. Waits. Nothing happens. He slowly bends down. His hands touch the floor. He tilts his head and looks under the bed. The emaciated little girl that came to his tent lays curled on the floor. Her bulging eyes stare at Cole. She moves suddenly, thrusts a jewelry box forward. It slides across the wooden floor and stops just before Cole. Cole and the sickly girl stare at each other. Neither of them say a word. Cut to interior living room afternoon. The room is thick with mourners. Most are gathered around the girl's mother, a young woman in her late 20s. As she moves through the room to the kitchen, she receives the many hugs, cards, and flowers that are offered as condolence. Mrs. Collins leaves the living room. Malcolm watches breathlessly from the doorway as Cole moves through the many adults following across the room. The girl's father, Mr. Collins, a thin man in his late 20s, is seated on the reading chair next to a TV. His face is like granite. No one in the room dares to talk to him. He stares statue-like at an abstract point in the room.
Mister?
The man doesn't react. Some of the guests look oddly at the little boy standing before the man.
Excuse me, mister?
The man slowly turns and looks down at the boy standing next to him. Cole is very shaky. Malcolm watches everything anxiously. Cole stares at Mr. Collins.
Are you Kira's daddy?
The man's face begins to crumble. He nods yes, softly. Cole holds out the jewelry box. It trembles with his hands. The father just stares at it.
It's for you. She wanted to tell you something.
Father becomes very ill. His eyes fill with a storm of confusion and pain. After the longest time, the father reaches and gently takes the box out of Cole's small hands. Cole begins to back away. The father gazes at Cole as he melts into the crowd. Cole reaches Malcolm and the two of them slip out of the house. The father looks down in a daze. He goes to open the jewelry box. His movements are slow and strained. He lifts the latch and opens the box. Mr. Collins stares at an unlabeled video cassette. Cut to interior living room afternoon. People in the room start to turn as the TV comes on. Mr. Collins is seated now. The static snow on the screen is quickly replaced by an image. Two puppets dance on stage. We hear Kira's voice sing for the puppets as they dance around. Her father's face forms the most heartbreaking of smiles as he watches the performance. The entire room has stopped what they were doing. TV screen. We hear footsteps coming up the stairs. The puppets go limp. The entire stage gets lifted up. We see it carried away by Kira. We can see the whole bedroom now. The camera is seated on her desk in the corner. Kira climbs in bed and pretends to be sleeping when the door opens. It's Mrs. Collins. She carries in a tray of soup and a sandwich. Living room. The crowd watches in riveted silence. The father never takes his eyes off of the screen. The image of the mother prepares the meal. She uncovers the fruit and the soup, places a straw into the drink, and then it happens. The image of the mother walks to a closet, opens it. An assortment of household cleaners and sponges are kept inside. She pulls out a bottle of floor cleaner, reads the label for the ingredients, walks back to the food tray where she unscrews the cap of the floor cleaner. The mother pours some in the cap, checks it.
That's too much.
The mother pours some back into the bottle. The remainder goes into the child's soup. She replaces the cap and puts the bottle back in the closet. The image of the mother turns to the bed, carrying the tray. She places the food on a metallic rolling table and swings it over the bed.
Kira, time for lunch.
Kira pretends to wake from a deep sleep. Daphne, should be.
He's coming.
She was the kid. Well, if you were the kid earlier, you're
I might not have assigned it.
girl.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm feeling much better now.
The image of the mother smiles.
I'm glad, honey. Time for your food.
Oh, sorry. Can I go outside if I eat this?
We'll see. You know how you get sick in the afternoon.
Kira picks up the spoon and takes a sip. Her face crinkles at the taste. She looks up at her mother.
Don't say it tastes funny. You know I don't like to hear that.
Kira slowly brings the spoon to her mouth and swallows another spoonful. The father shuts off the television with trembling hands. He presses his hands to his eyes like they're burning. The room is utterly silent. Cut to interior living room afternoon. Mrs. Collins is seated at the dining table surrounded by friends and family. She fixes one of the many bouquets of flowers on the table. It takes her a beat before she feels the stare. She looks up. Standing in the doorway to the dining room is Mr. Collins. A group of ashen-faced guests stand in the distance behind him. Husband and wife's eyes meet. Mrs. Collins smiles softly. Mr. Collins' eyes tremble with tears.
You were keeping her sick.
The whole world stops. The mother's face registers confusion at first, then slow realization. Her eyes glance at the many faces around her. She looks back at her husband. His glare is painful, rage filling every cell of his body, tears falling faster down his cheeks. Mrs. Collins turns her attention back to the flowers. She concentrates all of her strength. Beat. Her hands begin to shake.
I took care of her.
Her words are met with icy cold stares. The first tears stream down her face. The pretty flowers of consolation in her hands tumble to the floor. Cut to exterior house afternoon. Cole sits on the swings next to Kira's 4-year-old sister. She doesn't look up. Malcolm waits in the driveway, watches them from a distance. Cole reaches into his pocket and pulls out the little finger puppet. He holds it out.
You liked it. Shh, he said.
The 4-year-old stares at the finger puppet, then quietly takes it in her small hands. The two children don't say anything for a while. Malcolm glances to the house where all movements in and out of the home have ceased. Cole turns to the 4-year-old.
She watched out for you.
The little girl finally looks up. She has the saddest eyes.
He was not coming back.
Not anymore.
The little girl stares down at the finger puppet. Cole lightly places a hand on her shoulder. Nothing else is said. Nothing else is done. Malcolm looks across the two children on the swings, one mourning, one consoling. He takes it in, overwhelmed. Dissolve to interior prop room afternoon. Stanley Cunningham moves between two curtains and comes to a prop room door in the back. He puts an ear to the door, listens, and then knocks. After a second, he enters. Mr. Cunningham finds Cole sitting in a poor villager costume as a female teacher kneels next to him and makes final adjustments. Cole and the woman glance at Mr. Cunningham.
They're calling for the stable boy.
Mr. Cunningham looks around the room and then directly at Cole.
Who are you talking to?
The female teacher looks to Cole and nods.
Poor Stanley.
She stands up. The entire left side of her face has been burned horribly, grotesquely disfigured.
My favorite student.
The figure of the woman moves past Mr. Cunningham in the doorway. She disappears into the darkness. Cole puts on his tattered hat.
Thanks for giving me this part, Mr. Cunningham.
Mr. Cunningham smiles.
You're welcome, Cole.
They share a look before walking out of the prop room and entering the hall. We see them walking away.
You know, when I was in school, there was a terrible fire in this section of the theater. They rebuilt the whole thing.
And I know.
Cut to exterior school afternoon. It begins to rain. Malcolm pulls his jacket over his head as he scurries up the stairs of the school. Cut to interior hall afternoon. Malcolm stands and catches his breath in the corridor of St. Anthony's Academy. A teacher rushes in the hall with an armload of costumes.
Has the play started yet?
The teacher hurries past Malcolm and down the hall without saying a word.
Is that a yes?
The teacher scurries around a corner. Malcolm watches her curiously. Cut to interior auditorium afternoon. Malcolm quickly moves to a set of double doors and opens them. He steps into the darkness of the auditorium. The play is in full swing. Cole and a large group of costumed children are on stage. Cole holds a broom and wears a worn-down costume. He stands to the side, hidden by others. A boy in a shiny armored costume walks to the center of the stage where a large cardboard stone is seated. A sparkling handle sticks out of the top. The armored boy tries to lift it. It won't budge. Bobby, the chubby boy from the party, is dressed in a magician's costume. He is Merlin. He steps forward. Who was playing Bobby earlier? Heather, I think it was you.
Only he who is pure of heart can take the sword from the stone.
That works. Merlin looks to the group on stage, looks right at Cole.
Let the boy try.
The group of villagers on the stage laugh and mock the suggestion. Tommy Tomasimo is dressed in a mismatched costume. He hops around, clearly embarrassed.
But he's the stable boy. He cleans after the horses.
Silence, village idiot. Let the boy step forward.
Tommy turns a deep shade of red and hobbles off the stage. Merlin looks to Cole. He smiles a true friend smile.
Arthur.
Cole hesitates, not because he's acting. He really hesitates. It takes him a moment before he steps forward. Cole steps up to the stone. He places his hand around the handle, begins to pull. The sword starts to come out. The villagers gasp. Cole raises the shiny sword out of the stone and high above his head. Merlin and everyone on the stage bows. A silence fills the auditorium. Malcolm watches his client, standing unafraid in the spotlight for the first time. The villagers rise and rush to Cole. They scoop him up and carry him around the stage in celebration. Cole chuckles, then starts laughing as the group of 8-year-olds try unsuccessfully to keep him up. They slowly sag and then collapse. All of the students are laughing as they try to untangle themselves. Malcolm watches with utter joy as Cole becomes indistinguishable among a group of 20 children giggling and enjoying themselves on the stage. Cut to interior school lobby late afternoon. The rain comes down a little stronger now on the stained glass window. Malcolm sits on the stairs in the lobby. Cole walks back and forth in front of him. He still holds the sword from the play.
How come we're so quiet?
Malcolm shrugs his shoulders.
I think we said everything we needed to say. Maybe it's time to say some things to someone else? Someone close to you?
Maybe.
Cole keeps moving.
I'm not going to see you anymore, am I?
Malcolm doesn't respond for a while. He shakes his head no.
You were great in the play, Cole.
Really?
And you know what else?
What?
Tommy Tomasimo sucked big time.
Cole smiles huge. Cole's sword drags on the tile as he continues to circle around the hall. We get the idea he doesn't want to be still.
Maybe we can pretend we're going to see each other tomorrow?
Cole glances at Malcolm.
Just for pretend?
Malcolm exhales very slowly as he gets up.
Okay, Cole. I'm going to go now. I'll see you tomorrow.
Cole watches as Malcolm walks down the stairs to the entrance. Cole stops moving.
See you tomorrow.
Malcolm's face shows his losing battle against his emotions. He doesn't turn to look back. Cut to exterior car late afternoon, a rain-soaked bridge. A 2-lane road emerges to 1 lane around a severe car accident. A rear-ended car has jumped the sidewalk and hit the guardrail of the bridge. The driver is helped out by police. He's shaken, but okay. Police flares guide the cars as they crawl by. Lynn and Cole are standing still in bumper-to-bumper traffic. Lynn leans her chin on the steering wheel. She tries to stare through the layer of water on the glass. She hits the windshield wipers.
Hope nobody got hurt.
Lynn glances over to Cole, who sits in his seat silently.
Very quiet. You're mad I missed the play, aren't you?
Cole shakes his head no.
Have 2 jobs, baby. You know how important they are for us. I'd give anything to be there with you.
I'm ready to communicate with you.
Communicate?
Tell you my secrets.
The way he says the words gives Lynn a chill.
What is it?
Cole takes a long time.
You know the accident up there?
Yeah,
Someone got hurt.
they did?
A lady. She died.
Oh my God.
Lynn leans over the steering wheel. She wipes the windshield with her palm to see better.
You can see her?
Yes.
Lynn gazes out the windshield at the line of red taillights.
Where is she?
Standing next to my window.
A woman in her late 40s, helmet cracked, hair matted with rain and blood, stands staring through Cole's passenger window. Lynn looks over slowly. She doesn't see anything outside his window. She eyes Cole.
Cole, you're scaring me.
They scare me too sometimes.
They?
Dead people.
Dead people?
Ghosts.
You see ghosts, Cole?
They want me to do things for them.
They talk to you?
Cole nods yes.
They tell you to do things?
Cole nods yes again. Lynn becomes upset. She nods with grave understanding. Cole watches her.
What are you thinking, Mama?
I don't know.
You think I'm a freak?
Lynn's eyes move to Cole.
Get in my face.
Cole gazes at her intense expression.
I would never think that about you. Ever. Got it?
Got it.
Cole smiles a tiny smile. Lynn glances down.
Just let me think for a second.
Grandma says hi.
Lynn looks up sharply.
She says she's so sorry for taking the bumblebee pendant. She just likes it a lot.
What?
Grandma comes to visit me sometimes.
Lynn becomes still. Her face is unreadable. When she speaks, her words are extremely controlled.
Cole, that is very wrong. Grandma's gone. You know that.
I know. She wanted me to tell you.
Cole, please stop.
She wanted me to tell you she saw you dance.
Lynn's eyes lock on Cole's.
She said you were little. You and her had a fight right before your dance recital. You thought she didn't come to see you dance. She did.
Lynn brings her hands to her mouth.
She hid in the back so you wouldn't see. She said you were like an angel.
Lynn begins to cry.
She said you came to her where they buried her. Asked her a question. She said the answer is every day.
Lynn covers her face with her hands. The tears roll out from her fingers.
What did you ask?
Lynn looks at her son. She barely gets the words out.
I make her
Ugh. Okay, Angel, you're killing me here. Cole moves closer to Lynn. She cradles him in her arms. Mother and son hold each other tight. We pull back from the windshield, back past the front bumper where the figure of the blooded woman stands staring at Cole and his mother. We see a mangled bike pulled out from the rear-ended car on the sidewalk. We move up and away from the rain-soaked bridge. Cut to exterior Malcolm's house night. Malcolm walks quietly down the sidewalk towards his home. Cut to interior living room night. Malcolm enters the living room and smiles at what he sees. Anna is asleep in a chair. She's curled up in a ball. In a way, she looks like a little girl. Their wedding video plays softly on the television. Malcolm watches himself and Anna cutting their wedding cake. The crowd applauds as they feed each other pieces. Malcolm turns from the television and takes a seat next to Anna. He gazes upon his wife softly.
Anna, I've been so lost. I need my best friend.
Silence. Malcolm gazes for a beat before looking down.
I miss you.
Malcolm's eyes move back up. He looks at his sleeping wife. Anna's talking in her sleep. Malcolm can't believe it.
I miss you.
I miss you.
Her lips move again, eyes never open.
Why, Malcolm?
What, Anna? What did I do? What's made you so sad?
Why did you leave me?
I didn't leave you.
She becomes silent. Anna falls back into deep sleep. Her arm slides down. Something shiny falls out and rolls on the ground. Malcolm's eyes watch as it comes to a stop. Beat. He gazes curiously at a gold wedding band laying on the wooden floor. Confusion washes over his face. He looks to Anna's hand. An identical gold wedding ring sits on her finger. Malcolm looks down at his own hand. His wedding ring is gone. Malcolm is completely lost. He takes a couple steps back, looks around in confusion. His eyes come to rest on the door to his basement office. He looks in disbelief at the set of deadbolt locks on the door. Malcolm doesn't know what the hell's going on. His eyes are drawn to the dining table. Only one place setting is out on the tabletop. His eyes search again. They finally lock on the wedding video playing. Malcolm watches images of himself on the screen. His eyes film with a storm of emotions. Malcolm looks to Anna's face and becomes very still, close on Anna, till her sleeping face fills the frame. We now notice for the first time that Anna's breaths are forming tiny clouds in the cold air.
No.
Slam cut. Flashback interior bedroom night. Violent gunshots ring through the bedroom. Anna rushes across the room to a crumpled Malcolm laying on the floor. Malcolm's hands are clutched at his side. Anna pries his hands away to reveal the tiniest tear in his shirt. Anna's eyes catch something dark, moving. A pool of blood is forming under Malcolm. She slowly turns him over on his side. A horrific sight. An enormous exit wound on his lower back pours out blood uncontrollably. Malcolm's jaw is locked open. His breaths are long and strained. Anna is screaming, but her voice sounds far away. Malcolm's open jaw releases this long, strained breath and then becomes silent. Anna tries to cover the wound with her hands, desperately. Slam cut. Present interior living room night.
No! Anna!
Malcolm's voice shakes the room. Anna just sleeps. Malcolm staggers back, his breathing erratic. He takes a seat across from her. He looks at his wife and suddenly becomes very still. Anna's still curled up asleep, but tears are falling from her shut eyes.
Don't cry.
Anna doesn't move, but her tears seem to fall a little faster.
I think I have to go.
Malcolm's mind is racing.
I just needed to do a couple things. And I needed to tell you something.
Tell me.
You were never second. Ever.
Malcolm gazes at his wife. Tears fall from both their eyes.
You sleep now, Anna. Everything will be different in the morning.
Anna lays still.
Good night, Malcolm.
Good night, sweetheart.
The room falls into silence. Malcolm sits still across from his wife. He drinks her in with his eyes. Malcolm leans back in the chair. Slowly closes his eyes. They close shut. We are tight on Anna. We see her soft breaths forming a tiny cloud in the cold air. With each breath, they become less and less visible, the room becoming less and less cold. Soon her breaths aren't visible at all. She breathes gently, falling back into a peaceful sleep. We pull back to reveal Anna alone in the living room. The wedding video plays its last scenes. Malcolm is at the microphone on the dance floor in front of all the guests. He's holding a glass of wine.
I think I've had too much to drink.
Malcolm smiles as he takes a sip. The guests chuckle as they watch.
I just have to say, this day today has been one very special day. I wish we could all stay and play.
The crowd erupts into laughter.
What?
Malcolm looks around at everyone's smiling faces. He takes his time. He looks just past the camera.
Anna.
I think she froze.
Yeah.
She there?
Yeah, you want to take it till she comes back, Petra?
Sure. Anna, I never thought I'd feel the things I'm feeling. I never thought I'd be. You got it?
Oh, she's back.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
You froze for a moment, Erin. Go ahead and
Oh.
pick up from there.
Says,
You're on
I
your last
never
week.
thought I'd be able to stand up in front of my friends and family and tell them what's inside me. Today, I can. Anna
Malcolm's eyes
Crow.
fill with water. I am in love I am. Fade to black, the end. Oh.
Oh,
He is very fond of the word beat for pauses. I get it's like long pauses, long holds, dude. But dude, find another word, please. I stopped reading it about halfway through. I'm like, it's just too much.
That is the.
I sometimes worry I'm using it too much in my scripts. It was a lot.
We can read and take away from this. I'm sure we have lots to talk about with this, and you guys, amazing job.
Sorry for busting your eardrums, by the way.
it actually
fine.
cuts
That's
it
right.
off after a bit.
Yeah.
So
This is that initial. It's like, okay.
If someone else is listening to this with headphones over that,
Headphone. We need to have like headphone warning at timestamp or something.
I guess Erin's internet kicked her out. So if she comes back, then we'll add her and have her do her closing,
Okay.
find her all about her stuff. But till then, we'll go do everyone else's. So I'm Jacob Patrick. See me here every week. And we got Action Girl herself that read a ton tonight. A ton.
This was a lot.
Pages and pages.
Thank
Went
you.
through so
Thank you.
fast.
Thank you.
Woof. So Petra, tell them again where they can find you, what you want to do, and all that stuff.
Oh goodness, at this point, really anything. Currently working on scripts and short stories. I don't know if anybody out there is interested in, I don't know, having me read an audiobook or do crazy stuff with my face. Please call me. Findable, like I said, on Twitter.
I don't know if we've talked about that before. It feels like that's what your Instagram could be, just videos of crazy stuff with your face or pictures.
Yeah,
Do you have
super
examples?
super expressive face and voice. So I think that would be a good fit for me.
There you guys have it. All right, cool. Erin, please.
I'm Aaron, or Ari if you prefer. I'm a new voice actor, like I mentioned earlier. I'm currently looking for other roles to add to the current project I'm working on. Also other projects too. Yeah, there's, if you want someone who can specialize in the crazy cast members, feel free to come to me.
All right. And Heather Lee Cameron.
Hi, my name is Heather Lee Cameron. I'm an actor, I'm a voice actor, I'm a writer, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a storyteller, and I'm a family history research student who is closing in on the end of her first semester. You can find me on YouTube, The Storm and Latter-day Saint. You can find my Facebook page, Heather Lee Freelancer. You can find me on Facebook, Heather Lee Cameron, Twitter, Chameleon777771, Instagram, Heather Lee Cameron. And yeah, you can find me on Actors Access, Casting Workbook. I've got an IMDb. Yeah, and I've got a bunch of stuff on my Linktree, which can be found on all my social media sites. And all my links can be found on my YouTube channel. And I am currently looking for work. Yeah, and you can contact me about discussing work at heather.lee.cameron@gmail.com. LEIGH
Perfect.
is the way you spell Lee.
And Angel Peterson.
me.
Who did a
Okay.
phenomenal job, by the way, tonight. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm putting my hand here so you can see my angel on my shoulder.
Yeah.
Mr. Bruce Willis. So yes, I'm what I'm working on is I'm going to be one of the assistant producers for a feature film called The Unbelievers coming up. So
I don't believe it.
Oh, yeah. So I'll be sharing more about that as things progress.
Exciting,
Stay
exciting.
tuned.
Yes.
All right, we will stay tuned.
And still writing my other stuff.
Same.
Very nice, very nice. And Daphne.
Hi, I'm Daphne, Dr. Daphne. I'm doing a lot of different things, but the main things right now are voiceovers, guided meditations, podcasts, lots of podcasts right now. And you can contact me on spaforthesoul.com, spa for the number 4, thesoul.com. And my travel channel is Soul Spa Travel on YouTube. Those are the 2 ways. Please contact me.
You heard her. Contact her. Go to those places. All right, cool. And Erin Ellis was also here playing Malcolm. And I don't have her contacts with me. I know she's on Hive and Twitter and Instagram with some cool.
You said it at the beginning,
usernames.
so rewind.
Yep,
And
rewind to the very beginning.
Hive, she is Erin as a character. So
Yeah, that one's good.
And you put it on the bottom of all the like the YouTube and everything anyway, so they can find it anyway, right? So
They should be in the action description. Sometimes I miss them, but yeah, I got to go back and do them and add them. But yes,
thank
check
you,
that.
everybody.
Yes, thank you. So
This
whoever
is
has to go, have a great night. The rest of us will talk about the movie and script and all that jazz a little bit.
As long as
Buenas
you know.
noches.
Buenos noches.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I'm glad you came.
good night. Thank you for
Bye.
joining us.
See you guys tonight. See you next week.
Hasta semana. All right. Anyone else have to say farewell?
Yeah,
No.
I'm good.
All
I have
right.
a stuffed up nose, but it's okay.
It is. All right. Who wants to start? Say something about the movie, about the script. I mean, Petra already did. She said too many beats. Just kidding.
Mm.
Little
It
bit.
ended so abruptly. Like, I don't remember it ending that abruptly in the movie.
I think it kind of does. It's almost
Yeah,
like
it
a
does.
realization and like, okay, first, before we go, Heather, do you know what happened in this movie? Like, you asked in the chat, like, if somebody was a ghost, like, what do you feel and think at the end of who was a ghost, who wasn't?
Well, I wondered if Cole had died.
Mm-hmm. That was the question in the chat. And now, after finishing the film, do you still have that same thought, same question?
No, I don't. I feel like he was helped to be better.
Okay, but
And he was able to help his mother probably get out of her own problems.
anything about Malcolm?
I feel like he crossed over. I'm starting to think of Casper, like Dr. Harvey and his daughter were brought to the Whipstaff Manor, and they were there to help Casper and his uncles possibly cross over and get out of the mansion, but they ended up becoming friends with the ghosts and the uncles. Spoiler, I don't care, yell at me, who cares? But that's basically what Casper was based on.
All right.
This movie itself is over 20 years old. Nobody's going to be griping about spoilers. You're fine.
We're talking about Casper, but yeah. So I guess.
And so
Casper's
Malcolm basically was
going on 30 years old, so nobody's going to
Yeah.
be griping about that either.
Anyway, Malcolm, I suppose, was left in the living world to kind of help Cole so he himself could cross over. And he didn't even believe he was dead. He didn't know he was dead. He didn't know, so he couldn't accept it. But once he realized he was dead, he was like, okay, I'm dead. Time for me to go.
Cool. Yeah. So I was wondering if it came across in the script since it was so short and tight at the end. So it obviously did. So.
Well, I mean, it was kind of obvious because nobody was really acknowledging that he was around and everything was set for one, or nobody was really paying attention to him. It was kind of obvious in the beginning that something had happened.
I wonder if it's, I know it was a complete surprise to me in the movie when I watched it.
I should watch the movie.
Mhm. I think for most people, like they you go ahead.
I think it was maybe, I don't know if it was more noticeable in the script, or it's just that I came into the script knowing what it was, so I noticed.
I think for most people, they were surprised in the movie. Like that's why everyone's like, don't spoil it. That's why it got so huge, so popular, did so well. And I feel like what they did in the movie, what he was doing in the script here, you could see like he tried to give reasons why people weren't talking to him. Like he and his wife are fighting, so that's why she's ignoring him, or they're fighting, that's why she didn't set a place set for him or something. And always showed the other people next to them touching the things or affecting the environment around them, so he didn't have to.
Or he only affects stuff when he's alone, or I mean, we barely see him interacting with anybody else either. So
well, it was kind of obvious because everything, like after the 3 year, like the 3 years later thing, everything's set for one. The tables are set for one. If he was really meeting his wife on his anniversary, the table would have been set for two.
Well, but if she got, well, here's the thing about that scene though. When you arrive, it's like if you're super late to a dinner and somebody has eaten without you, there would be stuff at their place because they would have eaten already. There wouldn't be anything set at the other side. And if you look at the table setup in the movie, it is actually, there is at least a water glass on his side. There's like some type of partial place setting. A lot of places won't even put stuff down on the table unless someone's sitting there. So the fact that he hadn't arrived, it actually makes sense as to why his side of the table is bare. It adds to the whole, you realize later on they wouldn't have thought to put anything there because he's a ghost, but it at least makes sense that a place like that would not put something on the table until someone arrived. So the fact that she's there, she's taken the time, she's eaten because he's so late, makes sense in context of the scene at least. So
yeah. And in this scene, I don't think this was in the script if I don't remember right. Like he's an hour late, and right after he gets there, she's already signing the check. So she's just like, I'm done, you know.
Yeah, her dinner's done. And like, it's actually this perfect little, the sound mixing on this is actually kind of brilliant because not only do they continuously, like the score, I don't remember if it's James Newton Howard or I don't remember who did the score for this one, but there's this very subtle through line that continues throughout the score. And I had been studying classical music at the time. It actually references Mozart's Requiem. So flashing back to Amadeus, the piece he was working on. I noticed that like throughout the thing, I was like, I thought maybe just because it had to do with like death and stuff, maybe that's what it was focusing on. But there's also this really subtle, I mean, you can only get it on like, if the volume's up enough, but when he goes to reach for the thing and she grabs it, there's this little subtle whoosh. You heard that?
No, but well, I was just remembering the image of him going for something again, this quick timing of why he doesn't touch things or other people touch it to make it feel a little more believable. So I don't remember, I didn't hear that, I didn't catch the whoosh.
It's super quiet. It's like just one of those, you barely notice it unless the volume's up, but it also kind of works in context. Like if she's upset, you'd be like, you'd grab the, you know, that moment where she like grabs the thing and that she beats him to it. Like, okay, you know what? I'm upset and you can't even buy me dinner. That's how mad I am. It's like, so.
Don't bother. Don't even try to.
Genius.
Did Cole know from the beginning that Malcolm was dead because he wasn't bothered by the fact that Malcolm was just showing up at random moments and wanting to follow him around?
Well, remember when he first sees him in the church, Malcolm thinks he's there for an appointment. And when he follows him to the church, the first thing that Cole does is look at him almost terrified. He recognizes that he's dead in that moment, but then he realizes, oh, he has like, there's something going on here.
He's like, oh, he doesn't know he's dead. I need to settle down and like treat this guy as like, this guy doesn't know he's dead.
Well, remember, a lot of the times the ghosts don't realize they're dead. They're either falling into, like in the cases of a lot of the super traumatic things I've noticed, there's this kind of like almost similar to like the stone tape theory. You get stuck in trauma when it comes to death and stuff like that. There's this theory that like ghosts are bound, especially with traumatic circumstances. They're kind of stuck in those little loops and patterns, and whether they realize it or not, they're just going through whatever led them to that point until they reach a point of acceptance or until something causes the cycle to break. But I did find that kind of interesting that he keeps seeing these people in their moments of trauma or immediately after whatever would have led them, and they don't realize it. That's kind of why something happens. And in the movie, I noticed a line that wasn't here is Malcolm comments, he's like, oh, I think it went right through. I think I'm fine. It doesn't even hurt anymore. Like in those moments, something could be so simple where you don't realize. And I think that's why Cole keeps bringing it up. He's like, there are a lot of people that don't realize they're dead. They just, he's looking at Bruce Willis's character when he says it, but it was
So-
very subtle. It's like it's believable when he's talking about it. It's like you don't realize, probably, you know, you just get up and go about your day. You don't think about it. So
Yeah. It's that is cool in the movie when he's talking to him, like, they don't know they're dead. Hint, hint, mister. Like
I
that.
see dead people, immediate flash cut to Bruce Willis's expression. And it's like, did that give away the movie? And it's like, I don't think anybody watching the trailer nor the film at the time caught it. But when you go back and there's these little subtle clues and you start picking stuff up, like pretty much
Yeah.
everything he wears throughout the movie is just variations on the stuff he was wearing the night he died. And there's always those little subtle, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah, you really start noticing it, especially if you watch it like second or third. It stands up to repeat viewings, definitely. I will say that.
Yeah, it is a cool to rewatch, and you learn different things. Like they tried to put, was it red everywhere he touches things, or doesn't touch things, or something?
Red, kind of the color signifier that Shyamalan does in most of his series. Red is the color signifier for anything supernatural or to do with the ghosts or anything linked to whatever's going on. So like the mom who was poisoning her daughter, if you notice at the funeral scene, she's wearing red. And normally a funeral, you would wear dark, somber clothing. You know, you'd be wearing black or blue. She's wearing red. And it's not only a very bright and noticeable color, she's intentionally drawing attention. So the thing about Munchausen syndrome by proxy, or, you know, the other title that goes by FDIA, it is much more about you gaining sympathy or in some cases gifts or something like that as a result of the person who is sick, injured, whatever, that you are caring for and shown to be caring for. Like, oh, you're so brave. Oh, you know, you have our sympathy. Oh, let us help you. Oh, it's amazing that you're doing that on your own, whatever it is. And it's like, it is a sickness and that is a problem, but it's like it's very much about she wants the attention on her. Like, oh, she's so brave, and oh, you know, look at what she's doing, and look at her taking care of the kids, and oh, now the younger daughter is getting it too. And it's like the woman wears red to a funeral. She wears red. That's just, even socially, that's just inappropriate, and no one
Wearing a
calls her
wedding
on it.
dress to someone else's wedding.
Oh no, yeah, no, it's ivory. No, it looks like a wedding dress. Get out.
And going back to Cole
As a
knowing,
train. Sorry.
I was just going to go back to Cole knowing that Malcolm was a ghost, like, or dead. That's why he's like, no, you're the only one that can help me. Like, these other people aren't going to know. They're not going to believe me. You're dead and you're a psychiatrist. You're going to believe me. How can you not? Like, it's like, or something like, it has to be you. That's why. Yeah.
It's quite a sad movie.
It is.
It really is. But again, it's about traumatic, well, it's about trauma, really, in kind of all ways. Like, you know, you have people caught up in the trauma of death and dying, the grieving process, as well as the extreme trauma that, like, you know, kids deal with when they have issues and stuff like that, especially if they're having that whole no one believes me and no one understands what I'm going through and I don't even want to tell
Didn't
people.
move the brooch. It wasn't
Yeah.
him. He was being honest.
Yeah, it's like, and that's, I think that's, I'm gonna completely skip off for a brief second and ask how many people watched Sesame Street when they were growing up.
Nope.
Sort of.
Okay,
Yo,
you
dude.
know Mr. Snuffleupagus?
Yes.
When he was created, for a long time, Big Bird was the only one who saw him. He was real, but Big Bird was the only one. Big Bird would go to like get his friends and bring him over to meet Mr. Snuffleupagus, and Mr. Snuffleupagus would have wandered off. He'd come back. He would like go look for something, and like he'd always come back when Big Bird wanted to see him, but he never showed up when anybody else was around. And they realized that like children watching that, they eventually had a scene where they had to show Mr. Snuffleupagus as real to everyone, because they realized children in bad situations where they're dealing with any type of abuse or negative situation are going to feel like people don't believe them and will not believe them. And it's such a subtle thing, but it's like, holy crud. Like my brain kind of imploded when I heard that. I was like, oh wow. Because when you're a kid and you have something that you are trying desperately to show someone through, even if not through words, through like actions, you know, you have kids dealing with abuse or trauma or something like that in their lives that act out in certain ways. Like there was a little girl, I read a case study, and she was dealing with very extreme sexual abuse, and she didn't want to be touched. So one of the cues was, it was right before a wedding. She basically took an entire jar of Vaseline and rubbed it in her hair because she didn't want to be touched. She wanted to be like, don't, like, literally do not touch me. She would put stuff on her skin, like where you didn't want to touch her. She was grimy and greasy and stuff like that. And it's like, you have to start asking, why are they acting out like that? If they're not telling you in words, they're usually telling you in some way. So like Cole is trying desperately to find somebody who will listen to him and believe him. And even with his mom, he is terrified of letting her see the truth because he doesn't want that to affect the way she looks at him. He wants her to be the person who like loves him. He doesn't want to risk that being affected. And that's so heartbreaking, because if you think that like a parent's love is supposed to be unconditional and unending, it doesn't mean that, you know, it can't reach its limit, but it should not reach that in certain cases. And the fact that he's so scared and so desperately needs somebody to be on his side. And it's like, Angel, I think you knocked it out of the park on like more than one scene where you were interacting with him, because like it comes through in your face and your voice and stuff like that. You are like such a, like, I mean, honestly, she's my favorite character in the movie, and it's like, you freaking nailed her. Like I would have loved to have played her, but I can't imagine even doing it better than you did. You were amazing, because like I'm looking at like your face and listening to the sound, just listening to the sound of your voice, even not even looking at your face, but hearing it, you hear the emotion, you hear that, baby, I want to believe you, baby, I know something is wrong, I need you to talk to me, and if you're not, I still want to be here for you. Like that's freaking heartbreaking. And it's so well done in the movie too, but it's like just putting it on the page is so, it was very intense. It was very well written, and it's very believable. And I'm like, I almost wonder, like, where did you get that, M. Night? I'm curious. I know where he got the idea about the dead guy who doesn't know he's dead, but I'm fascinated to find out where he got the thread of Cole and his mom. I really want to know, like, where did you get that from? Because it's
M. Night, if you watch this, please leave in the comments to let Petra know where you got that from.
I highly doubt it, but if you are, hi, big fan, looking forward to the next one. So.
Any kid, when kids go through stuff and you're there and like you can see there's something they're going through, but they aren't able to tell you, or they're not telling you, or whatever it is. Yeah, just as a parent, there is that desperation, like, just tell me what's going on. And you got to let them know that it's not going to affect your relationship, and they're not going to get in trouble. But sometimes it's impossible for some kids to even feel that, and maybe sometimes they can't even put into words what they're going through. So
well, this is why, you know, a lot of special needs kids act out. They go through things and they're not able to communicate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did respite care. I did respite care for like weekend respite care back in 2009. And this is like why my client, I guess you would call him, would act out a lot, because he didn't have the best home life. And I would work very hard to get him to calm down, just because I knew he was going through stuff that he could not express. And I would babysit him and his sister a lot. It wasn't a very good situation, but he acted out, and I would get him to calm down eventually. But I knew he was going through stuff that he could not express because of he was like very low on the spectrum, but he could not express it. So he would act out to express himself.
Yeah, it's hard. And then to know the difference between, is it a kid who's, I don't know, he's just being bratty, or maybe he needs some more sleep, or maybe he needs some food, or maybe he shouldn't have had so much sugar, or is there something more going on?
Yeah.
And sometimes
there's so many kids with undiagnosed disabilities. You have to consider that too, because not every kid who's got a disability is diagnosed.
Right. Well, and I think one of the other issues, we're kind of veering a little bit off topic, but I mean, there have also been issues where, like, No, and I'm not saying it's not, but it's like there are also instances where like the stuff that you are hearing from your kid is not necessarily something that happened to them. It maybe happened to somebody else, and they're kind of like drawing on that for a reason. And it's like I hate to suggest that you should always take like, you know, anything your kids say with a grain of salt, but it's like, I don't know that like trusting them unconditionally is also a thing either. I'm just like, it's one of those incredibly tense situations sometimes where even if you know something's wrong and you hope that you're getting the truth out of it, it's just, I think it's always it's a tightrope. I think just parenthood in general, any type of
Yes.
childcare, regardless of the situation, is pretty much always a tightrope walk. So,
Or, you know, they're mistreated by a parent and they try to tell the other parent, and their other parent says, oh, you have to honor your other parent because it says so in the Bible, or something disrespectful like that, that really undermines how they feel. And not disrespecting the Bible, but when a kid says, oh, I'm being treated poorly by another parent, you need to listen. You need to make an abused child feel as if they're cared about. You need to listen to their concerns. You need to treat them with respect, and you need to love them and not throw things in their face that make them feel guilty about what's happened to them.
It's unfortunate sometimes it takes a long time for that stuff to actually come out, and more damage can be done in the meantime, which is sad. But
You
Yeah,
don't
a lot of
need to
parents-
make a child feel as if they are responsible or they are the
No.
reason that they are being
no,
abused.
and that's definitely true.
Of course not. And a lot of parents are in those situations might be in like denial themselves, like they don't want to believe it.
Right.
why it can take a while to understand.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get on the soapbox.
You're fine. Slowly kind of like tugging the thing a little bit back closer to the tracks. I was going to comment though that like you guys were commenting like there was so much reading that I was doing. It's like, yeah, this felt like a novel. I sometimes
Yes, but you're
worry
so
about
good
that.
at narration. You really
Oh no, and no, that's why I said if anybody wants to hire me for an audiobook, I think I'd be good at it. But
Yep.
I'm looking at it and like I do like dense description sometimes in my writing, and especially like my scripts and stuff. And I notice like I know it's at least the first 2 pages, if not the first 3 of the script that I'm working on are nothing but description and action. I mean, there is action to it, but it's a lot of description. There isn't even dialogue or speech that isn't on a screen for like, I think at least 3 pages. And it's not until, you know, stuff kind of breaks through that, and it's minor, but you're like, okay. So, but yeah, the first giant chunk of it is nothing. It's like there's blocks. When I say blocks, it's like blocks, like taking up giant chunks of the page. And I'm like, do I write too much? I worry about that sometimes. I worry about
No,
that
you
in my
don't.
description.
It's good you're aware of it so that you'll consider it and like very like look at it and say, does this have to be here? Does it have to be this way? Because as we know, like if it's a visual script and your action's happening and no one is talking, then that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And if that's for the story, then that's what it is. But from the way you described it, some people that have these rules in their head, that's going to turn them away from the script. They're going to look at the first pages and go, oh my goodness, I'm not reading this.
Yeah.
And they might miss out, but.
Yeah. And
Is
that
it
is what
about
I worry about
3
sometimes. Like,
minutes?
what was that?
Is it about 3 minutes in? Like if you were to actually film this, would it be about 3 minutes in before you hear them speak?
No, because it's not a page a minute just for, because like the first page is basically like description of the location and like what we're seeing, and then after that it moves into a small montage of like her day, or sorry, her days, I should say. They're kind of running together. It's actually, I think I describe it as an Edgar Wright series style of cuts. So it's literally like it goes
Who's
from
Edgar
one
Wright?
to the other to the other to the other, and it's just this entire movement where when she moves into or out of something, like she reaches for a coffee in a coffee shop, and when she pulls it back, she's eating cereal in her kitchen, and it's the bowl of cereal that she's holding in her hand. She turns to get something, and she's suddenly in a new location doing something new. But it's to kind of show that like her days are almost kind of blending and twisting into this long thing. Like she's kind of stalled. And the first time we hear dialogue, like even for the first part of it, like the entire first page, you are aware that there is no sound, not even diegetic. So like, and then it starts like when the montage starts, the first one, there's like a little bit of music that starts to play just as like background, and that kind of carries you in. When that stops is the first time you hear speech. and it's I don't want to spoil the thing about it if you guys ever do read it, but yeah, it's the first time you hear anybody talking is kind of unexpected, I think. But yeah,
That's right,
I did
I
notice that
think-
it's not like a minute a page thing for a while, and then when there's a lot of talking, it's very quick. So
That's right. I think if you can draw people in with your description, if you can make it so people are drawn in, then you've got a good story. It's about how it's
and that's
about
why
how you tell the story and how you draw people in. If you can draw them in well, then that's good storytelling. You shouldn't obsess over little things like that. Just enjoy the process.
Yeah.
which I do hope is the case, because I know I tend to paint visual word pictures.
You tend to pick at your own work instead of enjoying the process.
No,
That's
I think it's
with you.
Heather, I think it's absolutely right what Petra's doing, because if you have something like that, you got to go, am I writing a book? Like she said, a novel, like, am I describing it the way things are described in a novel, or am I treating it like how people expect and what they want to see in a screenplay format, and write that balance?
Might be good to write a novel too if you're enjoying that descriptive part of things. But are you writing only what you would? Sorry.
Well,
you're writing only what you would visually see happen on the screen?
I do try and keep it to that and not get like too much into the character's head. I will do like descriptions of like their expressions or their actions, but I try and keep it like something that they could actually express or do. I'm not getting too much into like, you know, she has these thoughts or whatever. It's like whatever is playing out on their face or whatever's coming out in their expression, their tone. I do try and keep it to like relatively short stuff, but it's like the scene descriptions and occasionally like where they are or whatever. I do try and set a little bit more of the stage, especially in the opening of this one, because it actually starts with like an establishing shot. It's like you're panning around this space. You're almost like, it's almost one of the lines is it should almost feel voyeuristic, like you're like the camera is kind of a character, at least for the first part of it. You feel like you're walking through the space. It's not just the camera moving, it's like you're kind of going through it and seeing what's going on. At like more than one time she's like, the camera kind of moves back to a respectable distance. It like jumps back like, oh crap, we woke her up or something, or we did something. And I'm hoping that comes across like without being too jarring or without dragging, but that's also why like at some point I'm going to need somebody to take a look at it.
I think people are going to
I have that novel writing background, and I'm like, oh, is this, I sometimes worry that it's too much, but it's like I paint word pictures. It's what I do. So
yeah,
well, that sounds like something I'd like to read.
Yeah, I'm curious about it too, and that's what you want to do with a script. You want them to be able to see the image or whatever that you have. So
and I will say M. Night Shyamalan definitely had a vision for this one. I will say that. You can tell like he's absolutely like basically like doing a storyboard in word form, I guess is a way to put it. Like it's not just like single image pictures or anything. Like he is blocking out like almost direction. Like this is what the scene is going to look like, and it's going to flow into this, and this is what it's going to be like after that. And you're like, okay. So it was a lot, but at the same time, it was good. I don't, maybe could have pared down just a little bit, but I don't want to knock a script that like was this good either. So it was really good. And
how many pages was it? Oh, sorry.
117, I think. 113.
Yeah, 13, not including title page. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And it works even for him because he is a writer director, so he sees how he's going to direct it, and he's gonna, you know, do that. Ari, we haven't heard from you much, Ari.
Yes, please.
I don't really got anything to add on this one because I've never seen this movie. I just know about it.
Okay.
Well, neither have I, but we still value your input. Seriously,
yeah, from the script, that's a completely different point of view that we would want to hear.
Yeah.
That is true. I have nothing to add to the script, but I do agree with what Heather had said earlier about the actions and descriptions in a script are what you use to pull into a story, to help pull the reader into the story. Because I've read a couple of books where the action description were just terrible, and then others were really good.
That's awesome. Thank you. But how did you like portraying a little kid that was one of the main characters?
I liked it.
Oh,
I had to use this voice.
Do we really have to
think-
pull speech out of you, Ari?
You're
Come
fine.
on.
Do you think you're inclined to see the movie now? Did it intrigue you? Or are you just not into thrillers or horror? Or what do you
I'll
think?
probably
Ari?
check it out at some point.
Okay.
I might
Is there
go to the pawn
a
shop
reason that
and
you
get-
hadn't seen it in like the 20 years that it's been out?
That is
Or
correct.
is it just not your jam?
It might be an age thing, like the age he was when it came out, and so
I was 10 to 11 when this came out.
Yeah, I mean, I was in my teens too, but it's like I
Wait.
mean, I
Well,
was
it's just
younger.
though
but-
my whole life, like I have movies I like, but I generally don't go out of my way to watch a lot of movies. So I'm usually probably playing video games or something.
When did
Okay,
it come
which is
out?
perfectly on
Came out in, like,
1999, I
98.
think. 98, 99.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I was like 11.
Oh.
Because I
Thanks
do,
for reminding me how old I am.
because I do
I'm
remember
older
seeing
than
the-
both of you, so shush.
Child.
I'm 35 now. I'm old.
I'm 34
Ooh.
and I'm still young and kicking.
oh, you're like, oh,
What are you, 25, Petra? Stop growing.
I'm 37, so no.
Well,
But thank you.
I will.
Although
be
I do feel a little bit better about my potential audition tape for my somebody who is billed as mid to late 20s. I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. I think I can pull off the speech. I just don't know that I can pull off the I don't know. Maybe
You can
add a
look, you
little
look
bit more
25. You
moisturizer.
can pull it off.
I
Stop.
can pull it off.
Jacob probably could pull off mid 20s as well.
Thank you. But no.
So could Angelina. I've seen her in
Okay,
person,
so-
so I know she can.
There you go. Okay, so I've seen the movie. I know Heather and Ari haven't. Jacob, Angel, have you guys seen it?
Oh yeah.
yeah, a
multiple
long time
times.
ago.
Oh yeah. Did you like it when you saw it? Is it
I really enjoyed it way back whenever it was. I don't remember.
right?
Yeah.
Late
So
90s.
long.
I just remember that. I was still in school.
I was gonna say I do recall. This is definitely one of those movies. Though while I've never seen it, I do remember the commercials for it.
Yeah, the ads were everywhere, and so many
I
people.
don't remember the
threatening this
commercials
place.
for it.
I wonder if it played in River and Manson.
Oh, that whole little like the tiny little shot of the kid I only knew from the end of Forrest Gump, like suddenly like curled up in a little blanket, going, "I see dead people." That was everywhere, so many times.
Wait,
so many
what
people
kid
mentioned
from
that.
Forrest Gump? You mean the one who played his kid?
Yeah, that was I think
Oh.
Haley Joel Osment's first role actually at the very end
Okay.
of that.
Hmm.
So, and then he got. I mean, but yeah, I was commenting to Ari. I don't know if the our little break time was covered like it has been occasionally, or if we picked back up. But Haley Joel Osment actually got the role. I mean, they were worried about I think they were almost going with like a more something closer to like Damien from The Omen. They wanted him to look a little bit darker and like a little bit more supernatural. And you've got this like little blonde-headed cherub-looking kid walking in with these huge like blue eyes, like a Russian religious icon. And he's like, they didn't think you looked quite right for the role. And then like they auditioned a couple other kids, but he impressed the heck out of M. Night for a couple of reasons, mainly because he was the only kid who showed up wearing a tie to his audition. And when M. Night talked to him after the read, he's like, "You did that really well. Like, had you read this?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I read it 3 times last night." He's like, "Oh, you read over your audition piece like 3 times last night?" He's like, "No, I read the whole script 3 times last night." Like,
Yeah, that's
I'm like,
big for a kid.
yeah, and he was. I mean,
What
he was
was he, 9 or 10?
he was 10 or 11 at the time. He wasn't actually 8. They decided that was a little bit too young to be playing, but yeah, he pulls off the super young thing, and it's like, can you imagine the gravitas to be able to pull off a role like this and not make it cheesy or unbelievable when you're 10? I'm
And
like, I mean, Tatum O'Neal and Paper Moon, I think, is the only other person I can think of who immediately brings that to mind.
Was that it?
Just double check. Yeah, he was the kid in Forrest Gump.
He was, yeah, he's the end.
Like,
Little
just
kid.
like when you brought it up, you also sounded unsure. So
No, that was his first role. No, that
Yeah.
I do know. So
okay.
What were you about to say there, Jacob?
Oh, about the age thing. There's an interview with M. Night Shyamalan. I forget talking to what late night host, saying about the line, "I see dead people." Like, I think it's slightly different than that or something, but he's like, "Yeah, that line, I don't know." Like, and the guy's like, "What? That's like one of the best lines." He's like, "Yeah, but it's too young for the kid's age. That's like a line those words would come more out of like a 5-year-old. So even that line that everybody loves, he's still
Yeah.
second guessing it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the right.
Yeah,
What
it
else
became
would
a-
they say? What else would a kid say?
No, like that's what he think he would say, but not for the age that Haley Joel Osment was. He think he would make
Like he was like 10 going on 11. The kid's supposed to be like 8 going on 9, and that's like, you know, you wouldn't. Okay, flipping like way back for a second to like the 40s. There's a movie called The Major and the Minor. It's Ray Milland and Ginger
Oh, I've
Rogers.
heard of that.
It's actually really cute. It's a little weird if you think about it too hard, but it's actually kind of cute. No, in order to get home, they raised the fare for her to go home. And so the only way she can get on the train is to pay half fare. Well, you only get half fare if you're 12. So she dresses up as a little kid and gets on the train and gets taken to a thing. And she meets another girl who's like 14. And she's like, oh, goldfishes. And she's like, oh, the one with his little tail, you know, wants his din-din. And she's like, you know, you're not 12 just because you're talking like you're 6. And I'm like, that's a fair point. It's like, you think about it, you have kids that are not written well in a lot of cases. And in some cases, like they either talk like they're 30 or they talk like they're 5. And it's like, there's very little in between. So it's like, you should not have a 10-year-old sounding like they're about to graduate college. You should not have a like teenager sounding like they just got out of kindergarten. And so writing an appropriate, like age appropriate dialogue for whatever it is, even if it's like the character is supposed to sound like that for a reason, it's got to be a convincing reason. And in this case, I think actually he maybe speaks a little bit older. So I don't think M. Night should question too much the whole I see dead people. It's like, how else are you going to put that? He talks,
Exactly,
he mentions
that's
it
what I'm
later.
wondering.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like
at any age, what would
I
they
see
say?
dead people works. Yeah, it's like I see dead people works at pretty much any age. It's what a little kid might say it, or you know, somebody older would definitely say it. I don't think he has an issue with that. So, I liked it.
Ghosts? I don't know.
Yeah, and he does bring up the ghost thing later, but it's like, how else are you gonna put that? I see people, they're dead. I see dead people. So I don't know. I thought it was really good, and I think the script is for like the subtle minor changes from like page to screen. There's not a lot. This is pretty much what we saw in the movie with like very few changes. There's only a few things, like they start to kiss in the movie instead of just hugging and having like that long moment when Anna's talking to Sean. They changed one or two of the lines, the way stuff goes. I think some of the interactions a little different, and there were one or two like scenes that I don't know if they were added or just changed, but I think the movie is pretty darn close to the script, and I actually quite liked both experiences getting to read it. But it's basically the movie on paper, so it's kind of a cool thing too.
Was the
Very
ending?
good.
Mhm.
I was gonna say there's some like paragraphs of their back and forth discussion between Cole and Malcolm that aren't in there, but just very few.
Yeah. Or like the like subtle differences and stuff like that I noticed, because it's been a while since I saw the movie, but I do remember it pretty clearly. So, and yeah, the ending's pretty. I think the only thing that this one didn't have is I think there's an indication of light in the movie. I seem to recall.
Right?
Yeah, like it's a symbolic or something of Malcolm crossing over. I seem to remember light at the end.
I think it's something like I agree. Yeah, I remember something like that too.
Yeah,
I did
that,
think
I don't think that was on the
Yeah.
page, but it was. What was
No,
that?
because they just showed him like disappear. Like they kept it on her and her breathing the whole time, and then he just wasn't there in the
Yeah.
script. But yeah, I don't think it wasn't that way in the movie.
No, I seem to recall there's like it pulls back a little bit, but I definitely seem to recall something about like just because they made a point of showing the lights in all those pictures of Cole that Lynn notices when she's looking at all the pictures in the hallway. So that's why I think I noticed it at the end. That's kind of what made it stick in my head, because I was expecting that to come back somewhere, as opposed to just like it's this subtle little shadowing. But I was like, it was really cool. I did like it though. So. Any other trivia points? Because I will sit here and talk about this movie all night. Any other comments, thoughts?
I'm watching the ending right now. Oh, they did a whole bunch of what they did in the movie is a whole bunch of flashbacks of him remembering all the different interactions and their stuff of like kind of replaying for the audience. It was like, hey, all these signs that we're showing you, they didn't really talk, they didn't really communicate,
Yeah.
they didn't really do this. It's
Okay.
like him remembering.
That's still before before like the ending. So because it shifts from Cole resolving with his mom to Malcolm having the realization.
Oh.
So I did actually really like that because they're coming home from the play and then it's nighttime when Malcolm gets home and he sees Anna in the living room. So it's progression, but yeah, it ends with them. It bookends. It starts with them, then it ends with them. One subtle thing that I thought was kind of cool in the movie, they reference in this one that he's like listening to the tapes of Vincent Sessions, and he scrolls up and just turns the volume up. In the movie, they actually have a volume indicator on the tape deck, and it starts off with the letters in white, and then when you get up to like 8, 9, 10, it actually turns red. That wasn't entirely based on just the fact that red is a significant color in the movie. It's actually because listening to, you know how they always have that warning when you like plug in your headphones that like, you know, listening to music at high volumes may damage your hearing. That's what that was indicating. I remember having one of those when I was a little kid, and I loved like pushing it up to a certain level, and my mom was like, turn it down, it's too loud. But it's like, yeah, listening to it at the red levels was going to hurt your hearing. So that's why they were color coded. But I'm like, see what you did there. It's like nice little subtle nod to it. Because when he gets up to that,
editing, you do that too. You have to make sure it's not in the red. If it's going in the red, then you're going to deafen your audience.
Yeah, that too, for like sound mixing and design and stuff like that, which I thought was kind of cool. No redlining where possible.
And that was where? Where did you?
In the movie, when he's listening back to the session with Vincent, where he's like, "Wow, it's really cold in here, Vincent. Why are you crying?" And he backs up and he hears, when he turns the volume up and he hears the guy talking in Spanish and realizes Vincent
I love
had the
that
same
part.
thing.
I love that.
It's a really cool scene. But in the movie, you actually see him like he's turning the little volume dial on the side of the tape deck, which is like, okay, kids, back in the day, music was on a CD, and then before a CD, it was on a cassette. And when you played a cassette, there was a tape deck, and it played the tape, and it had. I'm sorry, I'm being like, I'm not trying to be condescending. I'm trying to do like that little kid thing, but it's like, yeah, it had a volume indicator, and it like you see him like turning the little numbers to turn the volume up, and when it gets to a certain one, I think it's like 8, 9, and 10, it's red. It goes from white numbers to red numbers, which I thought was kind of it's probably just a little subtle shadowing, but I do recall that like that was actually a thing when I was a kid, that like you weren't supposed to listen to it at red levels.
Which is also really cool because, like you said, the red indicates what like paranormal type activity. So if it gets into the red and then suddenly he can hear the ghost, that's really cool.
Yeah, but like the blood, the doorknob, it's like a crystal doorknob or something on the door to the basement, and you see him keep reaching for it. Anna's dress at the anniversary dinner, Cole's blanket fort of like, you know, protection and stuff like that. There's a lot of red in the movie. And then he kind of started like his little subtle color thing. So it started off, it like continues with Unbreakable. It's green and purple. David's colors are green and Elijah's color is purple. And
sorry, where's this now?
Oh, I was talking about the next movie, Unbreakable.
The next movie?
Unbreakable. M. Night Shyamalan did.
M. Night Shyamalan's next movie, Unbreakable.
Okay.
Heather, go have dinner if you're hungry. Go.
I thought it was a sequel to this one, and I didn't know that existed, but now I get it.
Is this like Ryan Gosling won't eat his peas? Am I supposed to feed you through the screen? Go eat. Sheesh.
I was waiting for y'all to have a break in the conversation.
We're not shackling you here. You can go if you need to, babe.
I do need to go. I did not have time for dinner. I did not have time.
Okay, so go eat.
Good night, Heather. Thank you. Have a great dinner.
Watch the movie at some point if you want to. Go eat.
Have a good meal. Good night, Heather.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
So
this movie put M. Night Shyamalan on the map.
Yes, I love that. Like it was literally just this one. I mean, he'd done what is that movie with the kid and Rosie O'Donnell as a nun?
What?
Right before this one. No. The first movie that he had anything to do with, it was God, I can't remember. It also had to do with death and a little kid. But Rosie O'Donnell plays a nun. It was more comedic and like family movie, but it was like right before this one. He'd been working on the script for Sixth Sense when he was directing that one. Oh. I cannot remember the name of it. It's like something to do with awake or sleeping or something, or dreams, but it was this little kid and then who I think was the little kid in Jack Frost, the movie about the magical snowman, not the horror movie, the movie about the magical snowman. And Rosie O'Donnell is a nun. I would just remember it being on the cover art was Rosie O'Donnell as a nun. I cannot remember the name of the movie, but that was his first one, and then he did this one, and I was like, yeah, he started the whole color thing motif for like various things throughout his movies, starting in this movie, but it's like this was kind of his first. This was the thing that put him on the map, and all of a sudden it's like he's being hailed as the next Spielberg or something, and it's like. Even Spielberg had to wait through like 3 movies. He did like Jaws and Close Encounters and a couple other movies before he and E.T. He had to wait a little while before people were like, "Oh, he's Steven freaking Spielberg." And it's like M. Night did 1 movie, and that was a lot of pressure to live up to. I think it's
no
kind
kidding.
of devastating. It's like people that win Olympic medals when they're 14. It's like, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? That's just terrifying.
Wide Awake is the movie you're thinking of.
Thank you very much.
1992, 98, I mean. Yep. Doesn't have as good of a rating.
No, it's kind of, well, I mean, all of his movies kind of fall in different.
There's one he did before that in 92.
Really? What was that one?
A feature called Praying with Anger.
Interesting. I've never heard of this. I'm gonna have to go look that up now. Very cool.
Both writer and director on both of those.
Learn something new. Yeah.
But that's kind of cool too.
Special moment.
Like I like that you brought this up, and Spielberg, like that this one, he had 2 movies basically that almost no one's ever heard of before his breakout. So like if you're being a writer director and your first ones don't do as good, that doesn't mean to stop. Your third one, you can knock it out of the park. And with Spielberg, I think after Jaws, should look it up before saying anything. I feel like it was 1941 or something. So he did great, and then he had a bomb. I know before that he did a lot of things for TV and other things too. Yeah. But
I actually love hearing that. So go ahead.
But just that I don't know. Then yeah.
You don't have to start coming out of the gate with something that's phenomenal. You can make some screwed up pieces of stuff you'd rather were hidden and never seen, and people still forget about it and will celebrate your success. Is that I like that. That's good.
Yeah. You might have a few like growing ones till you get to the one that's a huge success, and you also might do something great, but your next one might be not as great, and that doesn't mean your career is over.
No, not unless you decide it's over.
Yeah.
So to anyone who has flopped after success, keep going.
Yes. And anybody who hasn't had a success yet, please keep going if you feel driven to keep doing this. It's okay to push through if you want to. It's okay to stop if you want to, but don't. What is it? Never let fear of striking out stop you from playing the game. It's like it's okay if you've had a couple of strikes. Just keep going. Random little side note that I thought was kind of cool. At the beginning of the movie, Anna tells Malcolm he sounds like Dr. Seuss. Like Malcolm, Dr. Seuss dedicated his life to children, though never having any of his own. I'm like, that's kind of cool. That's kind of an interesting little note. It's kind of sweet. Yes. I love me some Theodore Geisel, but yeah, he's I
didn't know Dr. Seuss never had any kids of his own.
Yeah, the house in La Jolla that I would like to own someday. Just kidding.
Yeah.
The what now?
I said he had a house in La Jolla I would like to own someday, Dr. Seuss.
Oh, heck yeah. Oh, yeah. His stuff was amazing. It's like, dude, come on.
But didn't they renovate it and take all the fun out of it?
I don't know,
probably.
Maybe. So he had a couple TV, Spielberg had like 3 TV movies. Before that, he did a lot of episodes and shorts before that, but then like 3 TV movies, then Sugarland Express, then Jaws, then Close Encounters of the Third Kind, then 1940. Wow. But then after that was Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
And then E.T., the Twilight Zone. Then so.
And I'm gonna throw out one final piece of trivia, and this is something that I did just I think I remembered this at the time I was watching a retrospective on Scott Pilgrim, and Michael Cera commented on it, but I just found the trivia piece. The whole thing about going back to Haley Joel Osment having read the script 3 times before he went in for his audition and really understanding the script and the story and the character and everything like that, that's not always a bad idea. Yes, I realize we kind of go into this a lot with like not knowing the script, or even if we're familiar with it, not knowing what the script's going to be like, even if we know what the final product ended up being. But Note for anybody going into an audition, read your script. Even if you just have notes or like the bit about your character, that's fine. But if you have access to the full script, I suggest reading it for one crucial reason. Michael Cera, this was his first audition, and he had not read the entire script, even though they did give them to anybody that was auditioning for the main characters, for Malcolm and for Cole. They did give them the entire script to read if they wanted to, as opposed to just their parts. Michael Cera did not read the entire script, and so he did the magic trick scene from the birthday party and did not know that Cole was supposed to be introverted, traumatized, and quiet. And he lost the role. I don't know that he would have pulled it off as well. Haley Joel Osment was very much something special at the time, but I would like to say it's like a tiny piece of advice from somebody who's only done like 2 things in her life. Read through the script. Read the script where possible.
It's a great piece of trivia. And you brought it up earlier, Edgar Wright's editing. Like, I love the combination of that directing and editing. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh, his stuff's phenomenal. His stuff is so good. I think it's not the only reason that I threw that little bit in there, but I was kind of inspired because she really is, my character really is just kind of like, it was like what follows is a series of almost a montage of Edgar Wright style quick cuts.
I think it's awesome too that you put that in there. That's cool.
Yeah. It's my little nod. I was like, I had to throw that in there. I was like, I couldn't think of another way to describe it because it really is just like they go to do the thing, they move over, and all of a sudden they're doing something different. And it's just like, it's just this cool visual representation.
I'm going to say it right now, so later if you read it or reread it, I have a couple of those in a script I co-wrote with a friend. So we also.
Hey! I'll tell you what, when I finish mine, we'll swap. I'll read yours and you can read mine.
Sounds good. Finish it.
Come on over to me too. I want to see it. I want to read it too.
Yes, I think that would be good.
Since I forced you to read mine.
You know what? Yours was actually really good. Just needs a pass and a warning on the page. That's all. needs a quick pass for editing and a warning.
It's so funny because like I don't like watching anything that's gory or anything like that, and I don't think that my script is gory, but when you read it, it feels like that. Anyways,
I think you're also just hypersensitive to it because you don't like those things and you wrote it, so you're like, how are they thinking this? How are they taking it? It's just what I intended. Whatever, but maybe not.
Yeah.
You tell me. So
I did. It was a good script. It was intriguing. It had some it definitely sparked discussion among the group that read it. And it was a well-written deep dive into the fantastical nature of like death and grieving and stuff like that, which I did really like and appreciate. It was just very hardcore. So a bit of I did like when we did what was it? Girl Interrupted, and we had that little heads up note at the beginning. Tiny little warning. Tiny little warning would have been very appreciated because there are definitely people who don't handle that well. So yeah. a bit of warning probably wouldn't have been a bad idea. But that was my only note about yours, and maybe like a quick pass with an editor. My only note about M. Night Shyamalan's, I get that he's pausing for dramatic effect, but it was getting really tiring reading beat. Yes, I get what you mean by it, and I even worry that I put too many in my script, and I'm still like, I didn't do nearly that many. I feel better about my usage of it now. I'm like, no, I feel better about my usage. It's not nearly that many. So I did definitely appreciate that. So I think at some point I'm probably going to rewatch this movie. It was I did really like it, and I do really like the movie. So
yeah, it's really good.
It is.
Recommend it to anybody that is okay with the subject matters that we just wrote, because there's a few in there too that people could get sensitive about.
Yeah, but I think this was also like you kind of had an idea going into it that it was going to be a little darker than like, you know.
The one part freaked me out with the not mother in the kitchen.
Oh yeah, cupboard woman or cabinet woman, I think is actually her title in the movie, the official movie. But she's the reason why all the cabinets and drawers keep opening when Cole is in the room by himself. I'm like, that was a bit much. It's a cool scene though. I did like it. So.
Cool. Ari, are you familiar? Do Do you know if you've watched any of his movies?
I don't think I have.
Petra and Angeline, do you guys like most of his movies or not most of him? Like,
What are some of his other movies? Because I'm not.
There was Signs. Okay, so in order, from starting from this one, there was The Sixth Sense, then Unbreakable.
I didn't watch Unbreakable. Signs I watched, I felt like it was overrated. I don't know. I'm sorry if for people who
No,
love it.
I kind of agree. I
Oh.
definitely think that Abigail Breslin was really good. I think the story gets a little bit muddled, so definitely that. But I mean, it was also a movie that I watched at least 12 times when I was a kid. And
Wow.
the scene recently, I think I watched it a couple of years ago, and the scene of the alien's hand shooting out from underneath that kitchen door or pantry door still scares the crap out of me. I jumped at least a foot in the air. But no, I do definitely think, this is probably right up near the top, if not tied. I think it's probably this and Unbreakable for me. And then Split and Glass are very close after that. Like,
I don't
yes,
think
it
I've
does deal with
watched
a lot of
those either.
trauma. Oh, I think The Village was definitely the one that like a lot of people took a massive nosedive on, and he didn't really return
Lady-
to form to a lot of
Lady in the
people's
Water.
minds.
I feel like Lady in the Water, most people didn't like. That one's like,
Well, that one's also like, I think everybody was expecting
that.
more of like a twist
Yeah.
because he was the master of the twist, and then there wasn't really one. It was a bedtime story. It was meant to be a little bit more juvenile, and so I think some of the rules maybe not making sense or kind of solidifying or something, and there being no twist kind of threw it out to a lot of people. And then the village thing, for the same reason, but the whole he kind of returned to form to a lot of people's minds when he did The Visit. I haven't. That's one of the only ones of his that I haven't seen. I
haven't
had
seen
no
that one either.
I had no
I'm
interest
just
in seeing
looking
it.
them up now. I
yeah,
saw
Split.
Old. Most of them I have not seen.
Oh shoot! I totally forgot that's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. I didn't want to watch that one. So that I think that's that, and anything that was before Sixth Sense I haven't. With the exception of Wide Awake, I did watch it like a super long time ago, but I haven't seen it for a long time. It was part of a double feature with Harriet the Spy with Michelle Trachtenberg. And I think it was just because it was like kids movies with Rosie O'Donnell for some reason, I think. But I think Old and The Visit, I think, are the only two that I haven't seen of his. I think I've seen every other one.
I enjoyed Old, I think, from what I remember.
There's a lot of stuff about it that I was just like, I'm good. And if you're really if you're aching to read the story, I would advise reading the translation of Sandcastles. It was I had read the story that it was based on. I am looking forward to Knock on the Cabin Door. Also not written by him, based on a story. So
I actually didn't. Sorry. I'm like,
you're good.
Did I like it? Did I not like it? It's one of those ones I'm like I had a feeling about it one way or another while I was watching it. But I actually I don't know. There were some parts I was like, what the heck? No, I didn't like it. Sorry.
You're fine.
Like
to be fair, you're talking about Old.
Whoever was a part of it. I'm sorry.
You're talking about Old?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was kind of one of those divisive movies. A lot of people didn't like it. Either they were familiar with the source and didn't like it, or they thought it kind of went a little whatever, or it gave the game away too early. I wasn't super into the idea of watching it in the first place. I wasn't that intrigued, and unfortunately there's like reasons now that I won't watch it. But yeah, it just wasn't super high on my list. It's kind of the same thing with The Visit. It's like, yeah, okay, so I know what happens now, but I'm like, it's not high on my list. I'm happy that it kind of brought people's attention back, and then he went from The Visit to Split, which I really do like. The extreme deep dive into a lot of trauma that I kind of wish he maybe had pulled back a little bit aside, I did really like it, and the fact that it kind of creates the Unbreakable cinematic universe, I guess. So the UCU instead of the MCU. It's only 3 movies, but it was good. Because it's Unbreakable, and then Split, and then Glass, and I did like all 3 for various reasons and various points. But Unbreakable's higher on the list for just for me personally, because I really did like it. It was a really fascinating deep dive into like the mythos of comics, and the visual style is very cool. And there's a lot of very interesting choices that I really do like about the script. So, but since this is what I'm talking about, we should probably stick on this one unless we're wrapping for the night, which is also fine.
Should pretty soon.
Split. So out of the other ones that he's written,
Mhm.
you'd say Split is your favorite?
Of all the ones that he wrote, I would say Unbreakable is probably my favorite. I think it was a very, very cool one. And then that kind of blended into Split and stuff like that. Of the ones that he hasn't written, because he didn't write, Old is based on a story. Technically, The Sixth Sense is also based on a story. It's based on an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Which
Fascinating.
he denied it for a while, and then they were like, no, yeah, it is. And then The Village, he flat out to this day still refuses to acknowledge that he based it on anything. It's like, that one I don't know. This one at least he copped to that, like, yes, because he originally went on record as saying he had not seen the episode, and then he later is like, oh yeah, it was my inspiration. I'm like, okay. I will let you backpedal, sir, because at least you're acknowledging that was a really good episode. But
So he didn't like direct or produce, but it looks like he wrote the screenplay for Stuart Little.
He wrote it.
really?
Well, at least
Oh, wow.
he has a credit or on IMDb for it. I don't know.
I
He's one
can't
of the
find
writers.
Okay.
Unbreakable on there. I'm looking for
And that was
the
also from a book, but there's also a Greg Brooker,
For which one?
Stuart Little.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't know if he wrote I thought he had the idea for Unbreakable. I was pretty sure.
It says written by, but yeah.
I just
Yeah,
can't find
that's-
it on.
I was pretty sure that was his. So I do say that the ones that he bases on other things, I think it's a little bit more hit or miss for me. Like, I'm intrigued to see Knock on the Cabin Door. I think I'm definitely gonna see that one. Even though that one's also based on a book that he didn't write. He just kind of adapted it. And then Old, I read the source material. I don't think I'm ever gonna see the movie. And this one was based on something else. And he took the idea and really expanded it and kind of added the other stuff. So like I do really like this movie, and I did really like the script.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Unbreakable, I think that one's just, I think, the most fascinating to me, and I really liked it. A lot of people didn't at the time, and I really do. So
I'll have to take a look then. I like
Yeah.
that. I don't know anything else about it, but he uses many of the same actors for his films throughout his
Yeah.
film.
yeah, it's usually there's at least a small through with at least one of the actors that was in a previous one is in the next one. So like Joaquin Phoenix was in Signs, and then he was in The Village, and Bruce Willis was in Sixth Sense, and then he was in Unbreakable.
And that
And
Anya probably.
yeah, well, Anya Taylor-Joy, she was a character created for Split, and so that's why she's in Split and Glass, because they're part of the same story.
Okay.
But I did
Not
yeah.
in Village.
Huh?
She wasn't in Village.
I don't know.
No, I think the only one of the only, I mean, obviously aside from like M. Night's own actor cameos, I think the only
Alice.
no Joaquin
Judy
Phoenix.
Good.
No, Joaquin Phoenix was, I think, the only one who went from one to the other, because he was in Signs and then he was in The Village. I don't think any other. He kind of just brings back the same, and where possible, he brings them a lot back. So like he brought back Gladiator kid Spencer Treat Clark. Took me a second. Who played David's son in the original Unbreakable. He actually brought him back for Glass and Split, which I thought was where possible, bring back the actors if you can. I did really like it.
Cool. All right. Any final words from anybody?
I really liked the movie, and I liked the script, even though it's basically the movie on paper.
Which is awesome. I mean, I think that's well done, or how it should be.
Definitely.
I mean, not should. Whatever will make it better in the end.
Yeah, we didn't have that experience last week.
What was that?
I said we certainly didn't have that experience last week, and
No, but I mean, what was last week? What do we?
Oh yeah, that's why I was like, what did we read? I just remember that it was
Beauty and the Beast.
It was
Oh,
very
yeah.
different.
Different. Yeah.
But it was the first, I think it was the first draft that we grabbed.
Something like that. Yeah.
Lots of similarities still, but
Ari, any final thoughts?
No, I'm probably gonna have to check this movie out at some point.
Okay.
I think it's a good one. I think it's worth your time. But I mean, now that you maybe already knew the twist, but now that you know it, it's not as good, but it's still really good.
Yeah.
Also, Cole's last name, which a lot of people thought was pronounced Sear until it's pronounced, is actually pronounced Sear, like to see something. So,
Like Seer, a seer.
Sometimes
yeah,
people,
it's pronounced like that, but it's spelled sear like to burn, which I
Yeah.
found a little weird.
maybe trying to make it different enough. Like us, the writers try to be creative, but then they do things like, people really think about it, could be obvious, like Darth Vader.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, because Vader means father in German, and Malcolm's last name Crow. A crow is a bird associated with death. Even like a group of them is referred to as a murderer.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm
So
excited.
next week we're reading Bridesmaids, and then after that,
much as I don't know, I may skip next week. I'm sorry. I've seen the movie. I didn't completely hate it. I don't know. I may skip next week. It was a lot. We'll see. I may.
all right, we got Bridesmaids. Then we have The Game.
Oh yeah.
And then after that, we have like just a get together where we're going to try and do almost like a Mad Libs of ideas for our own script and write our own script and then perform it just a little short.
I did actually, I have an idea, unless we're basing it on prompts. I didn't know if we were, but I did come up with an idea for a short
I don't
thing.
know.
So.
We're going to do random prompts. Like we're each going to, all right, everyone think of a genre, put it in the hat. Okay, everyone think of a character names, put them in there. Everyone think of this, and then we're going to basically spin a wheel and go, okay, we're doing horror with the subgenre this. Okay, the character's name is this. Okay, their profession is this. And yeah, so yeah.
Write a scene and throw it together. Okay, I like it.
We're gonna do.
In that case, I'm going to write my other short piece and send it to you. And,
Yes, do that.
Yeah, and you'll read it and see if you like it.
I already have a list of names that I've been writing down for stuff.
Cool.
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
character names, titles, genres, and stuff like that. I have sheets of stuff like that for exactly that reason. So you never know when inspiration will strike.
Yeah, I've even written small descriptions for about 6 of them.
Woo!
So,
Yay.
Harry, I don't think we've talked about this much before. I know you want to do voice acting. Do you also want to write or do other aspects of it?
Maybe I was told from various sources to give these characters small descriptions for when I have to put my demo reel together.
Okay.
All right, so these are to do little performances for yourself for a demo reel.
Yes.
Okay.
So the characters themselves intrigued my brother, so who knows, it could expand more.
All right. Exciting beginnings. All right. Okay, everybody, then I guess we'll call it a night. Keep an eye on those thermometers.
Yeah, I'll be getting under the blankets. Lots of them.
Well,
Kind of all them.
Yes. All right, everyone. Thank you for going through this with us.
Have a
I
good
had
night.
fun. It was good. I see talented people.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Sure.
Good.